Gunpowder Treason and Plot. From the book Guy Fawkes, The True Story of the Gunpowder Plot, by Francis Edwards. Guy Fawkes is burnt in effigy every 5th of November to commemorate the deliverance of the king and Parliament from a dastardly popish plot. But what if the legend is based on a deliberate plan to deceive the country and discredit the Catholics? What if Guy himself was a voluntary participant, only on condition that he would be reprieved on the scaffold? Directed by Margaret Ettle.
Gunpowder, Treason and Plot. A play for radio by A.J. Walton, with Michael Spice as Guy Fawkes, Christopher Scott as Thomas Winter, and John Moffat as Robert Cecil. Gunpowder, Treason and Plot.
See that lark up there? I shall be like that one day. High up, above the rest of the world.
Oh, you are a fool.
Do you not admire me, though, Meg? Do you not think me a fine fella?
Don't be daft.
One day. Just you wait and see. Then you'll want me.
I'll take thee now, lad, just the way thou art.
Oh, I'm nobody now. But I shall be. Just you wait.
Oh, my love.
Meg, I'm going abroad.
Abroad?
To fight in Flanders for the one true faith.
No. You'll be killed.
Yeah, I shall die of boredom if I stay at home.
Oh.
Now listen. What is there for me here, apart from you? What is there? I've no money or precious little. Nowhere near enough, anyway. And I'm a Roman Catholic. What chance have I in Protestant England?
But what about me?
I'll come back for you, Meg.
Oh,
I will. I swear it. If you still have me.
Guy.
And I'll be rich and famous. A captain, maybe.
A captain?
Aye, in the Imperial Army of the Archdukes Albert and Isabella of Austria. Think of it.
Captain Fawkes?
Sounds good. Don't you think?
Captain Guy Fawkes.
All right, come on. Stir thyself, Master Fawkes or Johnson, or whatever thy name is today. Beelzebub himself, I shouldn't wonder.
Oh.
What? Still asleep, my little papist? Still asleep?
What time is it?
What time is it, he says. For all the world like some great lord has summoned to his breakfast. My word, but you're a cool customer for a keeper of the Hellfire. A cool customer, no mistake. What time is it, indeed? No time for dreams, I'll tell you that. Now, come on. I'll be standing round here all day. There's work to be done. And you've got a visitor.
All right, damn you, I'm coming.
Damn me, he says. Oh, no, it'll not be me as is damned. I'm just an honest, simple jailer and a faithful servant of His Majesty the King. And may God be praised for saving him from the likes of you. So says I, and so says the whole of London with me.
They're still talking, are they? They're still ringing their bells.
Oh, the bells is stopped, but the talk goes on. Now, wherever you turn, there's but one sole topic of conversation. You and your devilish designs. Oh, no such commotion there's been since the great Sir Walter himself was finally brought to account for his crimes. And here you are, neighbours together. They're as wicked a pair as ever lodged under one good roof. But tell me, Master Johnson Fawkes, tell me as knows how to keep a secret. They say the old fox himself did have a hand in it. They say old Wat himself was chiefest instigator in the old conspiracy. Now, is there any truth in that? Tell me, come on.
And if there was,
I'd be as great a fool for telling you as you be for believing it.
Oh, all right. Only arse, no harm in that. I dare say there'll be harm enough when they come to pulling up your secrets. Then you'll blab and glad to do it. So you say now. So they all say, till they're introduced to Mistress Stretchbones. Then the bravado leaves them quick enough. Oh, no, I've seen it. She has a way of drawing out the truth, milady Stretchbones. A fine way, and no mistake.
Save your boasting, Master Jailer, for those with cause to fear it. My conscience is clear. As God's my witness, I've done no harm to no man.
No harm, he says. That's a right one. You can tell that to Sir Robert Crookbank, me friend. They do say he likes a good laugh.
Cecil, here?
And waiting. So pull on your boots and quick about it, for they do also say waiting does not improve his temper.
Cecil, you say?
Cecil, I say, and Cecil I mean. You know the one, Earl of Salisbury and Lord High Treasurer to the King's Privy Council. He's another man with a lot of names. You two should get on well together.
Ah, Fawkes, my dear fellow. Lord. Come and sit down, won't you? And how do I find you today?
Oh, well enough, thank you, my lord.
Well enough? Oh, come. I know Sir William here does not exactly find guests knocking at his door. Yet, all the same, I hope you have no charge against his hospitality.
No, thank you, my lord. I have almost everything I need.
Quite so. There will be necessarily some privations to endure. We would not want to excite suspicion and loose comment, would we now? Sure you understand.
Lord.
Unfortunately, not even Sir William's men are entirely above the occasional indiscretion, especially when strong drink has freed their tongues. Is that not so, Sir William?
Regrettably so, my lord.
There is something I would mention.
Yes?
The gentleman who was here yesterday.
Oh, no gentleman, Fawkes. Our excellent Attorney General is now Sir Edward Cook, a knight of the realm. Do you have some reason to dispute his treatment of you?
No, not exactly. Well, my lord, he just seemed...
A little harsh?
Well...
Oh, that is just his way. You mustn't mind it. If he's apt, how shall I say, to be sometimes overzealous in the execution of his duties, it is a fault we must count to the common good. After all, it is to him we look, is it not, to quarry out all heretics and foul traitors to the crown? And each of us has his particular part to play in this present enterprise.
Yes, my lord, of course, but he seemed, I don't know, almost to believe my part in this.
Well, of course he believes it. Think you that he could probably do his job if he did not?
No, my lord, I suppose not.
Oh, but you are hurt, man.
Huh? Oh, 'tis nothing, my lord, a scratch merely.
A matter of zeal again, my lord. One of our yeomen, I regret to say, being much angered at the prisoner upon his arrival here on Tuesday morning, thrust out at him with his halberd, catching him a slight nick upon the wrist.
Ah, yes, the strength of popular opinion against our Catholic conspirators is even more vigorous than I could have hoped for. It is indeed the most pleasing element in the whole affair.
Not too vigorous, I hope, my lord. I should fear for my safety otherwise.
Why, Fawkes, you did not think that they would love you for your pains? As to your safety, well, I'm sure you have no need to doubt it while you are in Sir William's care.
Indeed, no, my lord.
Oh, and as to that care, you will be pleased to hear that shortly you are to share it with a friend of yours.
Oh?
Master Winter will be joining you. Tomorrow, is it not?
Tomorrow morning,
Master
my
Thomas
lord.
Winter? Or his brother?
Thomas. Brother Robert, regrettably, is still at large.
And Percy, Catesby, the others?
Oh, they met, I'm sorry to say, with a slight accident. Another case of excessive zeal.
Accident?
But now to work, Master Fawkes. You must earn your keep, after all. Now, I have here your 5th confession, in which you name the Jesuits Garnet and Gerard as prime movers in the treason, together with Owen, the Archduke's intelligencer, with whom you met in Flanders.
Yes, you wish me to copy it out as before?
No. No, this one, I think, must be presented as a somewhat more painful extraction. After all, you are hardly likely to have given such revealing information of your own free will.
No, of course. Just my signature, then.
Please.
As Fawkes, my lord, or Johnson?
Oh, come. We've already established you as Fawkes 2 days ago, have we not? We can hardly have you become Johnson again. That would seem most strange.
Yes, forgive me, my lord. I confess I'm somewhat confused at present.
Quite understandable in the circumstances. But there is no need for you to trouble yourself with matters which are my discharge. Your signature is all that we require for the time being. Oh, and if you could perhaps effect it so that it might seem to come from one whose hand is somewhat unsteady.
Unsteady, my lord?
Yes, from such forms of persuasion, as are commonly expected to have been employed in cases of this kind.
Oh, as though you mean I've been tortured.
Yeah, well, for example.
Let me see.
Perhaps, my lord, the prisoner should practice first upon another piece of paper, lest he should spoil the document.
Quite so, Sir William. Yes, an excellent suggestion. Do you have such a piece of paper?
Yes, I shall bring it directly.
Yes?
My lord, one further question I would ask. It's about the pardon.
Ah, yes, of course.
Percy said
Well, then I'm sure you can trust a man like Captain Percy to be as good as his word.
Yes, of course.
So, there's nothing for you to worry about, and I can assure you what he said was on my authority.
Oh. What did you mean, my lord? An accident?
Ah!
Your piece of paper, my lord.
Thank you, Sir William. Fox?
Yes. Unsteady, you said.
Indeed.
Like this?
No, not exactly. No. What do you say, Sir William?
A little too much overdone, my lord, in my opinion.
Yes, great pity the wound is not upon the other hand. It might have helped. You couldn't, I suppose, use your left hand, could you?
I could try.
Oh, no, that won't do at all, I'm afraid. No, most unconvincing. Child of 4 could manage it better.
I'm sorry, my lord, but
Yes, I'm sorry too, Fawkes, I truly am. I only hope that you will realize that this was quite unavoidable. Sir William?
My lord, just spread your hand out on the table, like so.
Huh?
That's it.
No, Sir William. For the outward part, it all progresses most smoothly. The King has held the forefront of the stage, encouraging us all by his fine example, calling down God's wrath upon these traitors with the one hand, while offering up his royal thanks for the divine assistance with the other. Indeed, I think he half suspects that all is not as we would have it seem, but he's more intent to seize the opportunity for kingship than know the manner of its making. No. It is the news from Holbeach that causes me concern.
Indeed, my lord. A most regrettable business.
A piece of work most roundly botched. Walsh is a fool, or I am, for relying upon him.
By no means, my lord. It was a task that fell within his jurisdiction. A pity only that it did not fall within his competence also.
Well, we must yet hope to turn this trick to our advantage. Winter, I think, is our most awkward survivor. A man of some intelligence. By putting him with Fawkes, we may hope to encourage them both and so nip all suspicions in the bud.
Forgive me, my lord, but Fawkes himself is scarcely in the mood now for encouragement, either to give or to receive.
Oh, his hand will heal. And even before it does so, his hopes will gull his fears. He is a man, Sir William, who needs to believe.
Oh, Guy.
Do you not think me a fine fella? A fine fella? A fine fella? A captain in the Imperial Army of the Archdukes Albert and Isabella, fighting in Flanders for the one true faith.
Monsieur Fawkes! Monsieur Fawkes. There are 2 gentlemen who wish to see you.
Oh, I don't wish to be seen.
Very fine gentlemen they are, by the look of them. I wonder you can afford not to see them.
You are the most impertinent dog, Sir Lello. For 2 pence, I will cut out your tongue.
But yet you sold your sword for 3 pence on Wednesday last.
Oh, man must eat.
That's what they all say. All right, good sirs. He will see you now.
My God. Folks, is it you?
Excuse me, sir. There must be some mistake.
Do you not recognize me, Guy?
I'm sorry, I've had much to drink.
It's Tom Winter, Guy. Come from England with your old schoolfellow, Kit Wright.
Right. Winter? Is it really you?
Yes. It is really us.
Landlord, 3 large jugs of your best ale, if you please.
Your friend, Monsieur Fawkes, has not yet paid for his last drink, sir, nor many more besides.
The pox on you, landlord. Will you never leave me be with your ceaseless crime of money?
I shall pay for everything owed you, landlord.
You are a true gentleman, sir, which is a rare thing hereabouts in these wicked times. Be seated, sir, and take your ease. Franz! Prächtig out von het Fenster.
Well, Guy, our beer will be along presently. So tell me, how do you do? You look a little changed from when I saw you last.
Changed? Faith, were I to take an oath upon it, I would swear I sat across the table from Guy Fawkes' ghost.
No, he was my grandfather. I'm the ghost of the ghost of the ghost of Guy Fawkes. I'm not a little changed, I'm much changed. You're not changed at all. You're just as I remember you. Oh, are you really here? Are you not just a fond dream of mine?
Gentle, Guy. Stop, I beg you.
Oh, you're not my dream.
I am flesh and blood, Guy. Look.
It is Tom Winter, Guy. Tom Winter and Kit Wright come from England. I'm afraid he cannot recognise us.
From England? Aye, I'm from England. 9 years from England. 9 years. Dirty, stinking war.
Guy.
I know. You and Tom Winter and Kit Wright come from England. Should I be overjoyed? Am I in fit condition to be seen by my friends from England? Should I not rather hide my head in shame? But since you're here, you're here. And you're welcome to Flanders. What news from gentle England, huh?
A king sits on the throne in England now.
A king? Oh, when I left England, she was a virgin queen. But she then sprouted beard and codpiece to call herself a king, huh?
She sprouts only maggots, Guy, having passed away very early on the 3rd Friday in March, with never a word to say who should come after. But a new monarch was soon found by the royal councillors, who were very afraid of having nobody to counsel. And so, upon the Thursday, it was high treason to cry, God save King James of England. And upon the Friday, high treason not to cry so.
And what manner of man is this new king?
Oh, most royal, having already been a king, but also Scotch, having been king in a most wild and barbarous land somewhat to the north. I've not clapped eyes upon him myself, but they do say he has a large tongue, slobbering lips and weak legs. However, his new people did receive him most royally, lining the road by which he came, cheering, clapping their hands, calling out all manner of blessings upon him and his family. In every town he came to on the way, the church bells were rung, poetic welcomes were declaimed, school children threw flowers in his path, and rich presents were showered upon him by the loyal citizens.
And how did the king return these kindnesses?
Oh, with equal prodigality. Throughout his whole coming into England, which was very long, as he dallied everywhere at noble houses to hawk and hunt, which is said to be his chiefest pleasure, he made many knights. So many, indeed, there was scarce a person knelt at his feet without, he said, Arise, Sir Dick! Arise, Sir Harry! Until at last some wit made up this joke, which travelled so fast that for a while it was on the lips of everybody. It's two friends are talking. Look yonder, says the first. Unless I'm mistaken, there walks a gentleman. No, replies the second. I think he's but a knight.
Oh, that's a good joke, my friend. Indeed, I'm most wonderfully uplifted to see you both. Been a lot of strength to this happy reunion.
So, Guy, you have not found the fortune you hoped for.
Quite the reverse. I fear I found my utter ruin.
Not so hasty, Guy.
Is it hasty after 9 years? No, my friend. If you stay here for only 9 days, you'll wish yourself home again. After 9 months, you'll begin to wonder how much longer you can last. And after 9 years, you'll know that you must stay here till you die. Indeed, after 9 years of this, death cannot come too soon.
Is the fighting so terrible?
Oh, the fighting is dull and stupid. There are no dashing cavalry charges, no dazzling sword play. There's rank upon rank of musketry and cannon ranged against each other.
And the only alteration is that in the one campaign you recapture the fortress you lost in the last campaign. And in the next you lose it again. Neither side is strong enough to defeat the other, and so the fighting must go on forever. When a man can accept the fighting after a while, there's even a chance that he might find that sweet release. No. Oh, it is the long, cold winters that sap a man's spirit. Then there is no fighting, so we're not paid. No food and clothing for us, and no dry shelter to lay our heads down. Many men go over to the other side in the winter for promises of food and money which never come. So that both sides have become indistinguishable from one another, with Protestant and Catholic fighting side by side against Catholic and Protestant. It's no longer possible to tell where a man's true sympathies lie, if he has any still. Few men give much thought to God, Thomas, when their bellies are empty and their bodies damp and cold.
What would you say to the chance of leaving all this behind for a little while?
Oh, I should say amen with all my heart, even if it were only for one short hour.
It would be for several months, in fact. Spent journeying in Spain.
Spain?
And if you perform the task well, there is hope that you will find that permanent release you so desire, not in death, but in a safe return to England.
Oh, good Thomas, for such a dream as that, I'd gladly die 100 deaths.
Well, listen closely then, for the time is short and the matter urgent.
Johnson.
Oh, it's you.
Sorry to be so late. I was unavoidably detained. How goes the work?
As you see, wood is now on top of the barrel.
Excellent, yes. And the iron bars, you remember to put them underneath the wood?
Yes, the iron bars are all underneath the wood.
Upon my soul, what a commotion it would make, huh?
What would make?
All this, if that were really gunpowder in those barrels.
Aye, but it's not, is it?
Well, of course it's not. We don't want anything to go amiss.
Nothing but a barge load of Lambeth soil. What a joke.
My Lord Cecil would then have our guts for garters, and no mistake.
How do we know he won't do that anyway?
My dear Fawkes, why should he? When we have done our service to the state, we shall be smuggled out to safety and a rich retirement, our pockets heavy with the fruits of our endeavour. For myself, I shall have a brace of Paris whores upon my first night, depend upon it. And what will you do with your share, Master Johnson?
I shall spend it when I have it in my hand, if I ever do.
Why, Fawkes, do not be so glum. Your spirit should be uplifted with your hopes and expectations. You are a king's man now, or Master Secretary Cecil's, which is much the same thing. What's wrong?
3,000 billets of wood's what's wrong. And half a ton of iron. Rowing back and forth across the river is what's wrong. Till my arms are on fire and my head spinning. Fetching 36 barrels of earth, one satchelful at a time. Sleeping down here, what's wrong? In the stinking damp because you can't be bothered to go back to the Strand and you want the bed and I get the straw that came out of the hen house. That's what's wrong, Thomas Percy.
I've told you before. Don't call me that. You're supposed to be my serving man, not my comrade-in-arms.
Don't I know it? Anyway, who's there to hear?
Walls can hear, fool, and windows can see.
Well, there ain't no windows in here. You've had them all boarded up.
Don't be clever, Fawkes.
Johnson, I'm supposed to be your damn serving man, remember?
Indeed. Would you rather be back in Flanders, fighting the Holy War? It could be arranged, you know. I could arrange it, if you prefer. No. You count yourself lucky, my fine friend. You count yourself very lucky indeed. And be not so nice. Why, you're not even fit to be my serving man, you, whoever you are. Just a soldier, a stupid pikeman, the son of a clerk. While I, as everyone knows, am of the House of Percy, Earls of Northumberland, peers of the realm.
The pain, the pain, the pain, the pain, the pain.
pain, the 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 pain. Anything is better than this. Anything. 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 The pain. Anything. The pain. The pain.
You are a fool.
My hand!
Guy? Is it you?
My hand.
Are you hurt?
What?
Guy, it's me.
Huh?
Thomas. It's Tom Winter, Guy.
Tom Winter?
Oh, Guy. I'm glad to see you.
I was just dreaming of you.
Were you?
And here you are. Oh, is it you? Is it really you?
Yes, it's really me.
Oh.
Thank God. What have you done to your hand?
Oh, it's nothing. It's an accident, but you're badly hurt.
No. It's only a musket ball lodged within my shoulder a short while. 'Tis mending now.
Oh, so what happened?
Oh, Guy, I wish I knew.
The rebellion?
The rebellion. The great, glorious, ridiculous rebellion.
Oh, Tom. It wasn't supposed to be successful.
It wasn't supposed to be a bloody shambles either.
A shambles?
Aye.
What happened?
It was at Hull Beach. Stephen Littleton's house.
Aye.
We were resting there the night, having ridden all the day from my brother Robert's place in Huddington. And before that, from Grant's at Norbrook, having taken fresh mounts from the castle stables of Warwick the previous night. It was a raggle-taggle party by this time, Guy, I can tell you. Only those of us who were in the secret were able to hold our heads up, and that with great difficulty, for we were all most cruelly tired. But those who believed our so-called cause had much the worst of it, for only a 3 times fool could deny by now that our glorious rebellion was but a dismal failure. No one had joined us, not so much as a single man. Instead, we were growing smaller as some among us began to slip away to safety. Well, if their hearts were fainter, their wits were not. Had begun to smell the rat. It was a fitful night. I could not sleep at all. I was up early, even as the light showed over the trees. But Thomas Percy was up before me. I found him downstairs, peering from a window. Soft, he said, we had discovered. When I looked out quickly where he pointed, I could see the campfires ringed around us. Could hear from the open doorway the sound of men and horses waking to the day. Go out, he said. Go out and see if you can guess their plans. I will stay here and prepare a council room. We must decide what we will do. Do, I asked him. What choice is there now? Surely we must surrender. To fight them would be madness. He looked at me with that wild gleaming in his eye that makes you think that he is truly bedlam mad, and answered,
A little token resistance might not go amiss for appearance sake. Look not so gloomy, Thomas. It'll work out for the best, you see.
In truth, I did not have the heart to argue. All my thoughts were that soon now it would be over, this madcap chase, this fake rebellion. All I wanted then was a dry bed and 10 hours to myself. I went out to see what I could see.
That was a dangerous enterprise.
No, Guy. No. The danger was all within.
How so?
By foul treachery. How else?
Huh?
By base deceit and envy. And I know not what else. I was outside, creeping through the gardens, wary of ambush at every turn. And of a sudden, such an explosion as I thought my heart had burst.
Explosion?
And no sooner had I found me all of one piece and quite unharmed than my hot blood froze within me and chilled me to the very soul. The blast had been behind me, Guy. It had come from inside the house.
Inside?
I ran back at once. As I reached the stable yard, I met Stephen Littleton running out. his face and manner quite distraught. "It is the end," he cried, "the end of all our hopes. I will stay no longer, and you too will go if you have any sense left in you. Go while you have the chance." And I seized him by the shoulders and demanded of him what had happened. He would only say a terrible accident and repeat his advice to go while there was still time. I left him and ran into the room. It was a kind of outhouse joining to the stables where the meeting had taken place. What a scene of desolation awaited me. The air was still thick with smoke billowing up through a hole in the roof, and 6 of our comrades, Grant, Morgan Rookwood, Chris and John Wright, and Robin Catesby, scattered on the floor.
Dead?
No. By a miracle, they were all alive, and burned only. Oh, Grant had lost his eyes, and his face was much disfigured. It was Robin Catesby seemed the least hurt. Oh, too much angered to feel it. He shouted when he saw me in a voice like God's own thunder.
"Percy! Where is Percy?"
Percy? I ran out into the yard and found him coming from the stable, leading a horse, all saddled and bridled and ready to go. "Not so fast, Thomas Percy," I told him. "We have friends in there who need our help." My voice was as calm as I could make it, but I tell you, folks, I would have fain broke his neck for him.
What did he say?
Some feeble protest that his horse was frighted by the blast, and he wished only to calm it. Well, we kept close by him after that. One man at least was always by his side. His hopes of escape were quite overthrown.
Oh, well, perhaps it was true about the horse.
Was it? I think not. And nor will you, when you have heard what Robin Catesby told me. There was a brazier in the room to warm it for the meeting. And when they came in, the fire was low, so Catesby took the poker to it, stirring it up before he sat down. Not 15 seconds later, the whole device exploded.
Device?
There was powder underneath the fire, concealed in a barrel on which it stood. 2 bags of it, Guy. 15-pound bags. A few hot cinders falling through from Catesby's raking took hold and set it off. I found one of the bags afterwards, outside in the yard, blown clear through the roof. It was damp. And that was the miracle. If it had gone off as it was surely meant to, it would have killed them all.
But who? Why?
As to the why, we can only guess. And fear. But for the who, I will ask you this. Who placed the fire there? And who alone had not yet joined them in the room?
Percy?
Percy.
But why? He could have made his escape without first murdering the rest. What did he have to fear from them?
Not he, Guy, but he who pulled his strings. Aye. And all our strings. He has everything to fear from those who live to tell the tale.
Oh, no. No, Tom, I can't believe it. Without his traitors, he can have no trial. And without a trial, he'll have much less a fame to crown his labours.
Without a trial and an execution.
No, Tom. The king's mercy will prevail. We were promised.
So we were. And so, too, were Percy, Catesby and the Wrights. Now hear what fell to them. 'Twas already afternoon when we decided at last to give ourselves up. Sheriff Walsh's men were all around the house. Some 200 or 300 of them, it seemed. But they made no move against us. We thought they'd merely come to take us into custody. We thought they were only waiting for our quiet surrender. We stepped outside, but softly so as not to cause alarm. All was still and quiet. Catesby was first, with Percy held close by him, for he did not trust him even now. Next, Chris Wright. Myself, John Grant, still blinded, on Rookwood's arm, and John Wright last of all. And every man of us naked of all arms, shirt-sleeved, even in the shivering air, to plainly show we meant no harm. And suddenly...
Over here!
Shoulder.
Oh, God, no! I fell back against the corner of the house. I saw them all go down. John Wright first, great blood pumping from his chest. Chris next, his head half blown away. And Rookwood hit Ida 4 or 5 times, spinning like a marionette. And John Grant also wounded. Catesby, holding out his golden crucifix in one hand and Percy tight in the other, called for them to hold the fire.
For God's sake!
The one bullet took them both together.
Dead?
Aye. Dead. And John and Chris Wright, too.
Chris.
Grant and Rookwood were still alive when last I saw them. I don't know.
It's a mistake. It must have been.
And Percy's booby trap also a mistake? And think on this also. Who put him up to it? Holding out, no doubt, the certain promise of his own escape. Think you that Cecil would fail to give most careful orders if he had wanted Percy taken unharmed?
No. No, surely it is better for Cecil without both Percy and Catesby. They will like to talk too much. But we, if we give no cause for offence, give no cause neither for him not to keep his word.
And have you had his word?
But Percy said, like those before us in the Rowley plot, Cobham, Grey, Markham, reprieved upon the scaffold, Percy swore it.
And what price Thomas Percy's swearing now?
Aye, but we could show a few holes in the story, could we not?
Oh, God.
All that so-called powder, for one thing, kept in that cellar 6 months and more, so close to the river. Why, I've slept in that cellar, Tom. The damp runs down the walls. Real powder would have been ruined in a week. And then, the lack of secrecy. 24 people passing through that courtyard every day. The keeper and the porter living right beside it. How could we have hoped to hide our preparations? Aye, and then there's the matter of these confessions they keep concocting. The contradictions one to another, you'll see. Why, they can't even decide if I was taken in the cellar itself or from Percy's room above it. And Wadesmen, waiting in a boat to bring me here. Ready and waiting, Tom, for what was meant to be a great surprise. Oh, have no fear, we can do some talking too.
And be dispatched like Catesby and Percy for our pains?
No, Tom, they mean us no harm, I'm sure of it.
Huh? And your hand?
Ah, that was necessary. They must make it look good.
Ah, yes, but how good? As good as a trial? Oh, certainly. As good as a conviction, no doubt, having gone so far. And a sentence? How can they stop at that? And then, best of all...
Tom, Catholic martyrs are no use to Cecil.
Dead Catholics are only martyrs in the eyes of live ones. And you know there are not so many of those as Lord Salisbury would have us all imagine. And soon there will be even less, now there is this new excuse to hunt them down. There will be such hatred stirred up that only Catholic blood will satisfy.
But not ours. We're no prize for Cecil. Digby, Rookwood, your brother Robert, yes, the bigger squires. Not little men like us.
And were Lords Grey and Cobham little men? Sir Griffin Markham and Sir Walter Raleigh? No, Guy. 'Tis not the little men who taste a king's mercy.
And what say our loyal subjects today?
Your Majesty, what they were saying yesterday and what they will say tomorrow. That to divine the plot from such scant evidence is evidence truly of your own divinity.
But this is parlous blasphemy. Divine, my Lord Suffolk, by nature of our royal blood and lineage, but no divinity. We are but a king.
And such a king, your Majesty, as we have never seen the like within these isles. Aye, and in no other country neither. Thou hast risen above us like the sun, ending our dark night with thy powerful rays, warming our hearts and thoughts with thy beneficent wisdom, uniting all differences, leading us boldly forward to increased prosperity and might, whom none can gainsay.
Good Worcester, your ever most excellent sauce to the meat of kingly cares. But I fear your too rich words may overmuch inflate me, causing me to fart out such conceits as were not fitting to the dignity of kings. Oh, thank you, all most true and faithful bearers. And look where comes the brightest of you, ever apt unto the moment, our excellent Earl of Salisbury. How now, my little beagle?
Most gracious, magnificent, and all-encompassing Majesty.
Take care. I feel a sudden flatuosity coming on.
Your Majesty?
'Tis but a jest we were having before you arrived. Do not concern yourself. Tell us, rather, what news of our horrid traitors today?
Your Majesty, most excellent news. The manner of their foul conspiracy appears more clearly at each examination, together with the names of those who are most closely implicated. The matter could not progress more smoothly, I do assure you.
Not even if you had contrived the thing yourself, eh? Eh?
Most gracious Majesty, I would crave a private word.
Aye, very well, if you must. Good my lords, we bid you leave us.
God save you, keep you, watch over you and guide you, most wise and royal majesty.
Aye, Worcester, thank you, thank you. Well?
Forgive me, Your Majesty, but is it really necessary for the boy to remain?
Steenie? Why, Parrot, are you so jealous of our company you would wish to banish poor Steenie also? My wee boy. A beautiful wee man.
Your Majesty.
Tell me though, Salisbury, he is beautiful, is he not?
Your Majesty.
Is he not?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Yes, Your Majesty. And I will tell you this. Such beauty is but skin deep, the merest coating only for a mind so dull that nothing but blind loyalty knows its place there. Is that not so, Steenie?
My liege?
You wouldn't blab our secrets, boy, would you?
Blab, my liege?
You see? And who would he blab them to? Being always by my side. Tell me that, Parrot.
In truth, Your Majesty, I cannot.
So then, proceed with your business.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Your Majesty...
Oh, make not a speech of it, Parrot, I pray you. We've had a most tiring day. We really ought to be abed. This present calamity, so narrowly averted, hath quite drained us of our usual vigour.
As Your Majesty wishes. Briefly, then, the Papist Lords Montague, Mordaunt, and Staunton are newly committed to the Tower, together with the greatest prize of all, Harry Percy, Earl of Northumberland. Tainted by his conspirator kinsman, Thomas Percy.
Oh, 'tis well done.
Now we must strengthen our pursuit of Garnet and the Jesuits.
Good.
And make immediate representation to the Archdukes for the delivering up to us of their man Owen from Flanders.
Aye, Flanders. A very seed-bearer treachery against our person and our realms.
Just so.
A very nest of vipers. Vipers, all of
Your
them.
Majesty, there is but one sure remedy for vipers.
Tell me.
Crush them beneath your boot, Your Majesty, before they can bite.
Most excellent counsel. How shall it be done?
Those who work from without to undermine Your Majesty, to disrupt the people, sowing discord and dissatisfaction, stirring up greed, envy, and malice one to another, such as we have seen in this present treason, this senseless act of violence, this devilish conspiracy. These men without need those within who are pliant to their commands, those who owe allegiance elsewhere.
The Papists.
The Papists, my lord, exactly. We must move against them at home as we work against them abroad, and we must do it now, while the iron is hot, lest we appear milkish and weak-stomached.
Never.
Lest we seem by our inaction to allow their continued opposition to your authority.
No.
Your Majesty, you must be strong. Gird up your mighty loins to brace yourself against the foe. The security of the realm depends upon it, upon you alone. Be godlike in the dispensation of your wrath. Reach out your hand against your enemies, strike them down, and make them as the dust beneath your feet. Only you can do this, my lord. Only you.
Aye.
One church, Your Majesty. One state. One king.
One church. One state. One king.
Northumberland?
Raleigh, 'tis good to see you.
And you too, Harry. I would say welcome to my latest home, except that you would not agree, perhaps.
Indeed, Walter. I had thought when next we met it would be upon your release rather than my detainment.
That would, I fear, have been a long wait. Rather must we smile upon the chance that brings us two together once more.
I do, Walter.
Besides, 'tis not so bad in here. I have most of my creature comforts, as you see. Even Bess and the children are allowed to visit me from time to time. And in between those times, much time for thought.
You must regret your liberty a great deal.
In truth, Harry, I long for the open country, and the sea most of all.
However, I am permitted to walk a little outdoors. When the wind is easterly, I can smell the sea upon it.
Indeed, Walter, your walking has become quite famous, appearing as you do, I hear, upon a high wall, where crowds may see you from the street.
Do they? I had not noticed. But 'twas a most merry answer to our upstart Lord Lieutenant of the Tower, Sir William Wade, who upon his arrival here in August did order that same wall put up to afford me greater inconvenience, and the withdrawing, as he put it, of my unwonted privileges. Yes, annoying fellow, but easily provoked. I do get some passing sport from him.
Has he been here only since August? I did not realize.
Aye, since August only.
Who is he? I do not think I know him.
He was clerk to the Privy Council in Her Majesty's time.
Good God, yes, of course.
And since reserved as Cecil's man.
Is that so?
Most specifically in the gathering or manufacture of intelligence.
Ah.
How goes it with the world, Harry?
Oh, most strange and different, Walter. There is a new mood stirring, which the king has somehow helped to agitate rather than calm, not through any action of his own as such, but rather by his lack of action. The people look to their sovereign for strong leadership as they had from Gloriana. Indeed, we miss her now, I think, more than we have ever done.
Amen to that.
And I fear me, James of Scotland hath not the wisdom nor the greatness to match such leadership.
No. Yet will he ape it if he can. And there is one most apt to teach him.
Cecil, you mean?
Why else do you think you are here?
Well, I don't know, Walter. For the life of me. I'm told that my supposed kinsman, Thomas Percy, was in some way caught up in this late rebellion, but I fail to see...
Harry, forgive me. But was he or not a relative of yours?
Thomas Percy? No, not really. Well, maybe, I don't know. He called himself my uncle's bastard. It wasn't very easy to prove, one way or the other.
I see.
But, good God, Walter, you don't think...
He called himself your kinsman. He visited your house, yes?
Yes.
When was the last occasion?
What? Oh, it must have been about the beginning of the month, just before this whole thing was discovered.
How soon before?
The day before, as a matter of fact.
Then 'twas done deliberately, Harry. You may depend upon it.
Ah, that's preposterous. I'm not even a Catholic, nor ever have been.
Think you that actual guilt has anything to do with it? Think you that I was guilty?
God, what?
Taken in the self-same snare these 2 years hence, tarred with a false brush, placed in hirelings' hands by envious Cecil, and now, you too, good Northumberland.
In God's name, Walter. Think you they mean to keep me here?
Oh, Harry, wake up, man. 'Tis Robert Cecil rules this country now.
Well, then. Yet, 'tis a poor thing when we cannot distinguish friends from enemies.
It is the price of modern politics, Harry. If the people want strong leadership...
And is it strong leadership to fabricate an entire conspiracy?
Strong enough, I fear.
No, Walter, 'twill never be believed.
Are you so sure? A plot to carry off a king so recently enthroned? Methinks 'twill be believed quite well enough.
To cast my cousin Thomas and his friends in such a villainous role is quite absurd. They are wild young men, no doubt, a little headstrong, a trifle reckless. But to conceive of such a horrible crime...
It makes no difference, Harry. They will be painted in such bold colours, not even their own mothers will recognize them.
You are right, of course.
Come, look. From over here, you can see the window where 2 of them are kept.
Really?
Indeed. One of them can often be seen there looking out.
Always the same one?
As far as I can tell, these eyes are not as young as they were.
I see him. Yes. There he is.
Can you recognize him?
No, I don't think I know him. It's hard to be sure.
No matter. The whole world will know him soon enough. Poor devil.
Come away from that window, Guy, for God's sake.
It does no harm.
It will not give you freedom to gaze upon it.
Breathe the air fresh off the river. When the wind is in the right direction, you can even smell the sea.
For my part, I would forget it. Forget it all exists.
Besides, Sir Walter is due upon the wall about this hour.
How do you know in here what hour it is?
Where the shadow
What
falls
does it
from the
matter,
angle
anyway?
of that buttress is the most perfect sundial. When it reaches the far side of that archway over there, 'tis about midday.
But there is no sun today.
There might be.
What, in the middle of December?
There might be.
Man, you're a dreamer.
Might even wave to me again.
Guy, I've told you, Raleigh does not wave to the likes of you. 'Tis a movement he has, as if to brush away flies.
In the middle of December?
No, Guy, not real flies.
Oh, imagine, though. A man like that, waving to Guy Fawkes.
'Tis a movement common among courtiers and the highly born.
I often used to think, you know, when I was a lad, oh, to be like Walter Raleigh, famous and all.
Well, you got your wish. Much good may it do you.
We're not famous, Tom, not like that.
No, not like that.
Aye. But Raleigh was nothing once, when first he came to London.
30, 40 years ago. Times have changed, Guy. They have no need of heroes now. They hunt them down instead.
You mean like Father Garnet?
Like Father Garnet and all his gentle band.
What was he like? I never met him.
As gentle, godly, devout a man as ever you could hope to know. A true Christian, a man of peace.
Yeah, not much peace for him now.
20 years, Guy, 20 years in this country. And never more than 3 or 4 nights in the same bed.
Perhaps he will escape again.
Perhaps.
A good man, you say?
As good a man as ever walked this earth.
Then God will protect him.
It was his goodness was his own undoing. His faith and trust in men like us.
Like us?
Catesby involved him in the plot, Guy. He told the whole thing in confession to one of Garnet's priests, which he could not refuse, and which he, then himself, confessed to Father Garnet, who should have told what he knew, but could not for the vow of secrecy. And so they will say he harboured the treason, and he cannot deny it.
Oh, that's just like Catesby. There was a man eaten up with his own ambition.
And were we not also with ours?
But Catesby was dangerous.
And did he not make us dangerous too?
Us?
Yes, Guy. You with your lantern and your powder train were every bit as dangerous as Robin Catesby with his false confession.
With 36 barrels of earth, dangerous to whom?
To honest men, such as we are not. Turn it which way you choose.
We did only as we were instructed to do.
To what end, man? Did you never stop to consider that?
Did you?
Many times, Guy. Many times. But only when it was already too late.
We had no choice, Tom. There was no other way if we wanted to advance ourselves. Some service to the state, it was the only way. Same for everybody. Either you're for it or against it. There is no choice.
No choice? Aye. How well I remember. The bare trees, etched in frost, even in the middle of the day. Frost in the hedgerows. Ice on the pond, the birds huddled against the cold. My breath, my clouds of hot steam hanging in the dead still air. The house looking somehow timeless, innocent, oblivious of the dark secrets being hatched between its walls. Myself equally unaware, believing myself come to see old friends again after 2 long years travelling abroad. And those 2 friends standing at the hearth's blaze waiting for me, as though they would help shovel me in.
Come, Thomas. Stand by the fire. Warm yourself. You look half frozen.
Indeed, Robin. I think I'm 3/4 frozen at the very least. How are you both?
Ah, for myself, I'm as well as ever. But Tresham here is troubled by a slight stomachache, are you not, Francis?
Yeah, if he were mine, Catesby, I would sack that cook of yours.
Ah, you still have the same poisoner then, eh, Robin? The one who puts salt in his puddings instead of sugar.
You remember that. Ah, Thomas, it's good to see you.
Ah, and for me too.
Is it all of 2 years since we 3 last met in this room?
Upon my soul, Robin, it feels more like 20. My God, this world grows old and stale. And there is precious small advancement in it for young men of the true faith. We are hunted in our own country, deemed worthy only of indifference when abroad. Upon my life, I would know some remedy for this sickness.
Well, Thomas, much has changed with us since you've been away. You've heard, no doubt, of Essex trial and execution.
It's not the exact cause and manner of it. but enough to know at once my mission was quite undermined. And there were many did shed a tear for this noble earl's sad fall.
Indeed, it must have taken the wind from your sails. Plainly, then, you stand before two of those who, being with Essex in this rebellion, were likewise convicted of the treason.
Treason?
So the victorious party sees fit to call it. And he who plays the minstrel, Thomas, calls the tune we must all dance to.
How did you then escape sentence of death, my brave friends?
With the simple chink of gold coins.
One John Throckmorton, friend to both our families, interceded on our behalf. In addition to these bribes, we were required to pay a further sum as partial commuting of our sentence.
We were, together with several others, consigned under the heading of these that are fined and reserved to Her Majesty's use.
Good, my friends. I am truly glad that you are safe. It must have been a fearful time for you. But tell me, of my Lord Essex, how did he die?
Most strangely, to judge by the official reports. For he was executed at his own request in strictest privacy, with not one of his friends or kinsmen as witness.
What?
And whereas he behaved most brazenly at his trial, 'tis said he was overcome at the last by a most proper repentance for his folly.
He spoke of himself, 'tis said, as the greatest, the most vilest, and most unthankful traitor that had ever been in the land, and said he was fit to be spewed up by the Commonwealth for the foulness of an enterprise which was like a leprosy spread far and wide, infecting men.
By my right arm, that maggot Cecil is at work in this corruption.
Most certainly.
My God, you speak most prettily of this. As though 'twere nothing to you but a bunch of sweet-smelling lavender. You, who did stand at Essex' side, confident in the justness of his cause, do now mouth this slander like a nursery rhyme.
Essex is dead.
And is his memory to be so abused by those who call themselves his followers?
His memory is scant comfort to those of us who must survive.
Gentlemen, you begin to disgust me.
That is because you have omitted to look deeply into our circumstances and see the crumbling ground on which we stand.
Remember, we are constrained, Thomas. 'Tis mortal danger to take a single step except where we are permitted.
Our former allegiances are nothing where they work against our present interests.
We have no choice. Besides, Tom, this new horse will run better than the old one.
Now I begin to understand. You must think me a rare fool not to have caught your meaning at once. But I was not prepared for such two-faced roguery as I now see before me.
Thomas!
No! Your baseness fills me with such rage and loathing. I know not what reply to give you.
Indeed, it must seem a sudden alteration to you.
A sudden alteration? By my troth, Robin Catesby, it is the most dastardly betrayal I ever hoped to see. Surely this world is set upon its ears, that a man's own friends do twist and turn like vipers, and argue now the very cause that once they stood against so bravely.
There is a lot of water flowed under the bridge since your departure, Thomas. It is necessary to swim with the currents.
At what expense to your soul, man? Are we not Catholics? Is not Robert Cecil the mortal enemy of all Catholics?
And is not that reason enough to shift? Are you so fond of popish ceremony that you would trade your life for it?
What a man holds in the secret depths of his heart, none can gainsay, not even Cecil. As to appearance, you have never scrupled to seem a true Protestant.
Nor have I ever openly betrayed my faith.
'Tis no betrayal. More nearly a constant state of vigilance. A careful watching of the chiefest enemies of the state.
Do not fence with words, Francis. Call yourselves spies, for that is what you have become.
That is too crude a word, Thomas. The times are grown more subtle, and the victorious statesman has the need of greater and more intricate stratagems than the general on the battlefield. Statecraft is a hidden war, Thomas. And he who would win that war must have prior knowledge of his enemy's intentions. Must, in some cases, be able to predict or even engender his very actions.
Dispute it how you will. It is plain that I endanger my own safety by staying 1 minute longer in your company, so I bid you good day and
Hold
goodbye.
your ground, Winter! You may go to the devil if you wish, but not until you have heard us out.
It is our desire to include you as one of our number, Thomas, rather than as one of our enemies. We are compelled to this service by the debt we owe the state for granting us both life and liberty. Our lives would be quite worthless if we did refuse. But your life is in no lesser peril if you turn your back now. And this is not merely the best chance you will ever have to make a name for yourself. It is without doubt the last chance. You have spoken yourself of your disappointment in the harsh ways of the modern world. Do you not see that we must discard such threadbare notions as honor and chivalry, for they're the stuff of fairy tales and have no currency in these difficult times? Besides, man, here at last is the way to remove your obstacle brother and to restore the House of Winter to its former eminence. Join us as an intelligencer for the state, and you can work Brother Robert's downfall as surely as if you held a pistol at his head. Well,
what is it you would have me do?
Sir Robert has entrusted us with two immediate tasks. The first, to reinforce our numbers with trusty men who wear the outward garb of popery. The second, to send a small party to Spain under cover of such disguise, to collect such evidence as may be useful against those enemies of our realm as are living there, particularly the English Catholics, and most especially the English Jesuits, who are the most terrible threat to our security.
So it might conveniently be supposed.
'Tis them or us, Tom. Indeed, 'tis them in any case. We must look to ourselves.
We propose, therefore, that as soon as you have rested and tended to your personal affairs, you go to Flanders with Chris Wright and seek out one Guy Fawkes, who is an ensign there in service of the Catholic army. Wright recommends him as most likely tractable material, and says you know him also.
Oh, for jealousy of my brother Robert and my father's inheritance. All this for that.
It's funny, isn't it? I always used to envy you.
Envy?
For having a rich father. My father left precious little for me when he died. Not that there was much when he was alive. My mother made sure when she remarried it was a man with prospects.
What did he do, your father? I know you must have told me, but I forget.
He was an advocate to the consistory court of the Archbishop of York.
A Protestant?
Aye. As true a Protestant as good King Harry himself.
That's rich.
That was my stepfather converted us to Rome. I must confess I never cared much either way. God is God after all, isn't he?
What was he like, your real father?
A good, simple man, as I remember him. Nobody much.
No, was mine, for all his commercial enterprise.
Perhaps if they had been, we'd have found a quicker way out of all this.
If they had been, Guy, we would never have needed to get ourselves into it in the first place.
How's your shoulder?
It hurts. How is your hand?
It hurts.
We brought all this upon ourselves, you know. We are truly responsible.
No, Tom. We are victims only.
Victims?
You know what I mean.
I don't know anything, Guy. Not anymore.
What about Tresham? Do you think he will die of this sickness?
How should I know? You hear what our trusty turnkey says as well as I. What other news do we have? He gets hourly worser, day after day. I swear, I never heard a man so able to go on getting worse and not die.
Exactly. Well, supposing he's not ill at all. Supposing it's just a stratagem to cover his escape.
And suppose it is not?
But it might be. You have to admit it might be.
What if it is? Do you suppose we shall all be falling ill? And all be smuggled out to freedom? Until there are no traitors left to stand trial?
But they have others more highly prized than us. Rookwood, Digby Grant, your brother Robert. Men who were never given promise of escape. Men who joined the plot thinking it was real. They're the traitors.
They were tricked into it. Not told the full story till it was too late to turn round. Lured and trapped by you and me.
I trapped nobody.
In Spain?
I was in Spain in ignorance. I was tricked myself.
I know. And it was I who tricked you.
Oh, it wasn't your fault.
You, and my own brother, and my true friends. And Garnet and his priest I held there too, seeming the gentle follower, the true believer. Oh, God. Forgive me, for truly I do deserve to die.
Oh, now you're talking daft. Hey, look.
What?
It's Sir Walter.
Quite a crowd has gathered. I wonder if they'll look this way.
My lord?
Oh, nothing, Sir William. But that I see our bold Sir Walter still displays himself upon your wall.
Indeed, my lord. I would stop him if I could.
No. It's a harmless entertainment. And like enough, Sir Walter, by his indiscretion, will continue to assist us.
My lord?
He waves to our gunpowder conspirators. Did you not know?
My lord, I had no idea.
Oh, Sir William, you should be better informed.
The man's insolence is insupportable. Why, I shall...
Calm yourself, Sir William. It does no harm. On the contrary, if it suggests a certain tying of loose ends...
Mean you, my lord, to include Raleigh in this latest treason?
No. Nothing so elaborate. We need no further proof against Sir Walter, who stands already in the shadow of the axe.
A long time has he stood there, my lord, begging your pardon.
It is not always necessary for the axe to fall. Old Raleigh is a greater prize alive than dead.
Ah, but not so Fawkes and Winter and the rest.
No, I'm afraid not. They have but one thing left to give us.
The trial, my lord. Will it be soon?
Early after Christmas. As soon as Cook has thoroughly prepared himself.
Oh, my lord, he will be looking forward to that.
No doubt. He has some lost ground to recover since Raleigh got the better of him. But I don't doubt that he will find this easier meat to chew.
I almost pity those poor devils when our Attorney General gets his teeth into them. He will tear them apart.
Indeed he will, Sir William. Indeed he will.
It appeareth to your lordships and the rest of this most honourable assembly that these are the greatest treasons that ever were plotted in England concerning the greatest king that ever was of England. Now, as this powder treason is in itself prodigious and unnatural, in the conception and birth most monstrous, arising as it does out of the dead ashes of former treasons. For it had 3 roots, all planted and watered by Jesuits and English Roman Catholics. The first root in England, the second in Flanders, the third in Spain. So that the principal offenders are the seducing Jesuits, men that use the reverence of religion, yea, even the most sacred and blessed name of Jesus, as a mantle to cover their impiety, blasphemy, and treason. Also to be considered is the means to compass and work these designs. These means were most cruel and damnable. By mining and by 36 barrels of powder, having crows of iron, stones, and wood laid upon the barrels to have made the breach the greater. Lord, what a wind, what a fire, what a motion and commotion of earth and air would there have been. Horret animus, I tremble even to think of it. Miserable desolation. No king, no queen, no prince, no issue male, no councillors of state, no nobility, no bishops, no judges. Oh, barbarous and despicable cruelty! Not the death of the king only, but of his whole kingdom. The destruction and dissolution of the frame and fabric of this ancient, famous, and ever-flourishing monarchy. Even the deletion of our whole name and nation.
Prisoners at the bar, do you have anything to say before I pass sentence on you? Guy Fawkes.
No, my lord. Only that I am truly sorry for my offence, and I ask your forgiveness.
Forgiveness is not from the law, but from God. I advise you to pray to him. Next, Robert Winter.
My lord, I am truly sorry for my offence, and I beg you see my wife and children do not suffer for it. I will take my punishment as best I can, but Do not punish them also.
My lord,
Thomas Winter.
I would speak some words, my lord, on my brother's behalf.
Young man, you do well to wait your turn. However, you may continue.
Thank you, my lord. I wanted to say, my lords, that Robert Winter's offence is truly my own. He was not in this thing at all, except at my persuasion. God knows, if I could die 2 deaths and thereby save him...
Master Winter, you do neither your brother's nor your own cause any good at all by taking the name of the Lord thy God in vain. This may be apposite in Roman circles, but I assure you it is not the way we do things in the English church. Next.
Therefore, from the admirable clemency and moderation of the king, the conclusion shall be, in that howsoever these traitors have exceeded all others their predecessors in mischief, yet neither will the king exceed the usual punishment of law, nor invent any new torture or torment for them, but is graciously pleased to afford them as well an ordinary course of trial as an ordinary punishment, much inferior to the offence.
You shall be led from hence to the place whence you came, there to remain until the day of execution, and from thence you shall be drawn on a hurdle through the open streets to the place of execution, there to be hanged by the neck and cut down alive, and your body shall be opened, your heart and bowels plucked out, and your privy members cut off and thrown into the fire before your eyes. Then your head to be stricken off from your body, and your body shall be divided into 4 quarters, to be disposed of at the king's pleasure. And may God have mercy on your souls.
My dear Sir Edward.
My lord.
Congratulations on an excellent performance.
Thank you, my lord.
Really quite mercurial. Indeed, I fancy you surpassed even yourself today. Well done, and thank you.
I am only glad, my lord, to have captured your approval.
Ah, not only mine, Sir Edward. The king himself.
His Majesty. He has already had report.
He needed no report, Sir Edward, having seen and heard the whole thing for himself.
He was here.
Concealed behind a screen within a private gallery. He was most impressed.
My lord, why did you not tell me in advance? I would have...
What? Now, what more could any man have done? It's impossible, Sir Edward, to improve perfection.
My lord, you are too kind.
And now, if you will excuse me,
my lord.
Most pressing affairs of state, as always, but now especially, including, I fancy, some future candidates for your most excellent attention.
Oh, my lord, I am ever the state's devoted servant.
So are we all, Sir Edward. So are we all.
My lord.
Ah, Sir William, what news?
My lord, the Jesuit is taken.
What, Garnet?
The same.
Where?
At Hinlip, as you suspected.
Ah.
Hunger and other inconveniences forced them at last to quit their little priest hole. By the account, a device most cunningly contrived. 8 days our men were searching for it.
Who was it with him?
His man Oldcorn, alias Hall. Bromley has taken them to Worcester for the time being.
Then must we finish this day's business more swiftly than I had supposed.
My lord?
The executions must take place forthwith. What day is it today?
Monday, my lord, the 27th of January.
On Thursday, then, and Friday. 4 on each day. See to it, will you?
My lord, it is not much time.
Then you'd better waste no more of it, Sir William, had you?
No, my lord. Right away, my lord. Thank you, my lord.
Aye. Thank me, Sir William. You will no doubt enjoy the coming business. I would that I could share your appetite.
Well, Guy, it's almost time.
Aye.
Tell me again.
Oh, Thomas, for God's sake.
Please.
We mount the scaffold. We make our prayers and our last words of repentance and farewell. We prepare ourselves to die. And then a messenger causes the sheriff to stay the executioner's hand. We're quietly told by him to withdraw indoors, where we receive due notice of the king's mercy and our reprieve.
Just as it was for Cobham, Grey and Markham.
Yes.
Each man in his turn, one at a time.
Yes.
What if the messenger fails to reach the sheriff?
What?
What if he cannot penetrate the crowd? What if he is too late?
No.
No?
No.
He will be standing close to the sheriff from the start.
Yes. It'd look awkward for the mouse.
Have you ever seen an execution?
What?
Have you ever seen a man die upon the scaffold?
Some sheep thieves once in York.
No. I mean the full traitor's death.
No.
I saw the priests die.
When?
In the Cobham Rawley plot. Clark and Watson, their names were.
You saw it?
At Winchester Castle.
What were you doing in Winchester?
I went there specially. Out of curiosity.
I shouldn't like to see it.
No? You must have seen such things in Flanders.
That was different. It's surely worse in cold blood.
Aye.
What was it like?
Barbaric. God, I wish they would hurry up and come for us. This waiting.
Aye.
What will you do when all this is over?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought.
Have you not? Oh, I have.
Oh, what then?
The first woman that'll have me.
Ah.
Yes?
Aye. Or even one that won't, if she be sooner.
Aye.
Oh, God, yes.
Have you ever loved a woman, though, Guy? I mean, really loved.
Loved.
I don't think I have. Not really.
There was a girl once. When I was just a lad.
You are a fool.
Oh, she was a peach, though. A real peach. And she loved me, what's more. Said she'd wait for me when I went off to the war.
Did she?
I don't know. I never went back after. I haven't been home in over 10 years.
Maybe she's still waiting.
Aye. Maybe she is.
And you loved her? You really loved her?
I really did.
Now then, my masters, bestir yourselves. 'Tis time.
Here they come! Traitors! Papist traitors! Papist pig!
My brother! Where is my brother? Hold your tongue, traitor! My brother Robert! Get down upon the hurdle! Robert! Where is my brother Robert? Your fine brother was dispatched to his eternal damnation this time yesterday morning. Executed? Robert, no! Silence, I say! Do you hear that, Guy? I hear it, Tom. They've killed my brother! Courage, man! The mark of Cain is upon me! Hold your tongue, or I will make thee hold it! Guy! Guy, they will kill me! No, Tom, no! They will kill me because I am a murderer!
Thomas Winter was first upon the scaffold. A slight and sickly-looking man, he seemed almost composed and quite ready for death.
Stand bravely, Thomas. Show them you're not afraid.
I, Thomas
Winter!
Aye, speak up.
I'm truly sorry for my offence!
Fear no man, for no man is present here today, none but a pack of dogs, scavengers, jealous nobodies, taking some scrap of comfort from the misfortunes of others. Look at them. They make you sick, the common people, the herd, the mob. Aye, let them jeer and scream. Let them hate you, Tom. We shall have the last laugh here today.
Thomas Winter! Prepare to meet a traitor's death!
Go bravely, Thomas. Seem as though about to die with no regret, no shame. As you put your foot upon the ladder, then will the sheriff cry out. Now. He'll cry out. Now. But go slowly, Tom, for God's sake, give him time. Why does he not cry out? Why does he not cry out before it's too late? No. No. No, no, no.
Behold! The heart of a traitor!
Next, after Winter, came Ambrose Rookwood. And then Keyes, Lord Mordaunt's man. So eager was he to make a quick end that he fairly leapt from the ladder, breaking the rope, so that he was quite conscious when they brought him to the block. And his end was not as easy as it might have been. And last of all, the worst of all, the devil of the vault himself, Guy Fawkes.
Let us return unto our Lord.
Evidently he was still feeling the effects of his harsh imprisonment, for he was quite unable to mount the ladder without assistance.
Seeking to bring forth worthy fruits of penance.
Please, no, it's not meant. It's not meant.
Go on, son. No use fighting it.
Please.
I'll give you a moment longer before I cut you down. I can't do any more.
You don't understand.
For God's sake, jump down. Not out like that other fool.
No.
Go on now. I can't wait any longer.
They're going to do it.
No.
They really are going to do it.
No.
Michael Spice played Guy Fawkes in Gunpowder, Treason and Plot by A.J. Walton. Thomas Winter was played by Christopher Scott and Robert Cecil by John Moffat. King James I, Fraser Carr, Sir William Wade, John Bott, Christopher Wright, Alexander John, and Francis Tresham, Hayden Wood. Walter Raleigh, Robert Lang, the Earl of Northumberland, Harvey Ashby, and Thomas Percy, Gordon Reed, who also played the executioner. Robin Catesby, Anthony Hyde, Suffolk, Peter Robert Scott, Worcester, Graham Faulkner, and Sir Edward Cook, Leslie Glazer. The jailer, Sean Probert, Meg, Rowena Roberts, the Flemish landlord, Chris Jenkinson, and Popham, John Church. Gunpowder Treason and Plot was directed by Margaret Ethel.
The Killing of Sister George is a 1964 play by Frank Marcus. Sister George is a beloved character in the popular radio series Applehurst, a district nurse who ministers to the medical needs and personal problems of the local villagers. She is played by June Buckridge, who in real life is a gin-guzzling, cigar-chomping, slightly sadistic masculine woman, the antithesis of the sweet character she plays. She is often called George in real life, and lives with Alice Childie McNaught, a younger dim-witted woman she often verbally, and sometimes physically abuses. When George discovers that her character is scheduled to be killed off, she becomes increasingly impossible to work and live with.
The Killing of Sister George by Frank Marcus, with Sarah Bedell as George, Lucy Wybrow as Childie, and Anna Massey as Mercy Croft. A London flat near Broadcasting House in 1965.
George, what on earth are you doing at home at this time of the afternoon?
They're going to murder me.
What?
I've suspected it for some time.
What?
Death.
George, I don't understand what you're saying. What are you talking about?
Shut up! You know nothing. That Australian bitch, that Sheila, let it out.
The one who used to be a lady cricketer?
Yes, that's her, the lolloping great trollop.
So what did she say?
It was during the tea break. She handed me my cup of tea and said, "I trust you're in good health." She said it with a sly wink.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I got the message all right.
It might have been quite innocuous.
Innocuous? They're trying to kill me and you call that innocuous? Somebody's leaked it to her. Another Australian, probably.
What did you do?
I left.
You walked out of the rehearsal?
I wasn't going to let some illiterate bitch wink at me.
They won't like it.
I've given 6 years devoted service to this programme.
You said so yourself. They don't like contract artists to have tantrums.
They have no right to do this to me. I'm a senior member of the cast. If they wanted to write me out, they should have asked me to come to the office in a proper manner.
Nobody wants to write you out. Applehurst couldn't survive without you.
Don't you be too sure. Applehurst is more than a village, you know. It's a community. It's a way of life. It doesn't depend on individuals. Ah, there's many a stone in that churchyard.
You talk as if it was real.
It is real to millions.
You are the serial. It would be nothing without you. Look at your ratings.
They're down 4% last week. I'm slipping. Now do you understand?
You still get the most fan mail, don't you?
Only just. Ginger, the publican, is close on my heels.
What about young Rosie?
Aha, she's preggers.
And does she tell you?
No. But I'll wheedle it out of her, never fear. Just give me 3 instalments, that's all. They know they'll get straight talking from me. No lard ever passed my lips. No, sir. Fine words, butter, no parsnips.
What are you talking about?
They need me. Get that into your thick head. Applehurst needs a district nurse. Who'd deliver the babies? Who'd look after the old folk? I'd like to know.
Exactly. Nobody's suggesting.
Nobody's suggesting? Why did that woman inquire after my health? Why did she wink at me, eh?
No. Perhaps she fancies you.
This is no time for jesting.
How do I know why she winked at you? Perhaps she's got a nervous twitch.
She's Australian, dunce. They're extroverts, not neurotic townsfolk like us. They come from the bloody bush.
Well, I don't know why she winked at you.
Oh, shut up, silly bitch. Look at that certificate on the wall. And in recognition of your devoted work and care for the old and sick, we name the geriatric ward the Sister George ward. Take care, Childie. You're trailing your coat.
Oh, you're the bull.
very cocky, all of a sudden.
Who, me?
Yes, you. And what the hell are you doing at home on a Tuesday afternoon? Why aren't you at work?
Mr. Katz gave us the day off. It's a Jewish holiday.
He hasn't been having another go at you, your Mr. Katz, has he?
Certainly not.
I bet he has.
He hasn't. I tell you.
I wonder. Nobody tells me anything.
That's because you always make such a stupid fuss about things.
All right, then, I won't make a fuss. Come on, tell me.
There's nothing to tell.
You expect me to believe that after what happened last time?
Nothing happened.
A 4-inch tear and 3 buttons off your blouse, and you call that nothing?
I told you I got it caught in the copying machine.
Don't lie to me, Childie.
I'm not lying.
Then why are you avoiding my eyes?
Because... Oh, you're impossible, George!
Don't throw tantrums with me, young lady. Come out. Come out this instant.
I shan't.
Can you hear me, Childie? I've got Emmeline here, your favourite doll. And if you don't come out of the bathroom at once, I'm going to pull Emmeline's head off.
Monster! Oh, poor Emmeline, did she hurt you?
There, that's better.
Make you better.
And now, apologise.
What for?
For causing me unnecessary aggravation.
I'm sorry.
Well, you don't sound it.
Look, George, I know that you're worried and everything, but that's no reason.
Don't answer back.
Look, George.
Has Mr. Katz had a go at you?
No!
Don't screech at me. Apologise this instant, or there'll be severe chastisement.
I'm sorry.
That's better. Now, down on your knees.
Must I?
Yes. Come on. Show your contrition.
How?
You must eat the butt of my cigar, which I left in the ashtray.
I couldn't. It would make me sick.
Are you arguing with me?
Okay. Hand it over.
Good girl. Now, eat it.
Can I take the ash off?
You may take the ash off, but you must eat the paper.
Oh, it tastes vile.
Good. That'll teach you to be rude.
Hello? Miss June Buckbridge? One moment, please.
Who is it?
Don't know.
Why didn't you ask, fathead?
Here.
Hello? This is June Buckridge. Who wants her? Oh, of course. Yes, I'll hold on. Oh, God almighty. Childie, it's the BBC.
Oh, Lord, I hope it's nothing serious.
Hello? Hello, Mrs. Mercy, dear. No, of course not. Quite. Quite. Yes, there was something I wanted to talk to you about. Perhaps we'd better have a man-to-man... Oh, you have something to say to me? No, I'm not doing anything at the moment. Well, I'd rather not come back to... Oh, yes, that's a splendid idea. Love to see you. Yeah, that's right. Just across the road, Devonshire Street. Top floor. You press the bell and one of those I speak your weight machines answers. Yes, you know the kind of thing. You are 13 stone 2. No, of course not. I wasn't implying that you were 30. Yes, that'll be absolutely lovely. Anytime. Bye. Oh, she's coming round. She'll be here in a minute. Oh, God, I'm for it.
Who was it?
The assistant head, Mrs. Mercy Croft.
The one who has that weekly spot on Woman's Hour?
Ask Mrs. Mercy, yes, that's her.
But she sounds awfully nice on the radio. At least her advice is sort of sensible.
She is nice. Mrs. Mercy is a nice woman.
Well, then.
She's coming to see me, you understand? First she asked to see me in her office, and now she's asking to see me here.
Did she seem friendly?
Yep.
It'll be a good thing to clear the air.
Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. She wants to see me on an urgent matter. We must brace ourselves for the worst.
Will she expect some tea?
Tea? Oh, God, yes. You must make her something special. At the double.
There's that piece of Dundee cake that Mother sent.
Oh, that'll be absolutely first class. And some of those Scotch scones of yours. And when you're serving the stuff, try to make a good impression. Look cheerful. Keep your shoulders back. And if she speaks to you, don't open your mouth about things you do not understand. This is Miss Alice McNaught, Mrs. Mercy Croft.
How do you do?
Alice was just preparing the tea.
Oh, that is nice. I do hope I haven't put you to any trouble inviting myself out of the blue.
Rubbish. Not at all. Not at all.
May I look round? I adore looking at other people's flats. They do reflect their occupiers' personalities in an uncannily accurate way. To be perfectly honest, I imagined your home to be different.
Really?
The charming Victoriana, the dolls, somehow...
Oh, they are Miss McNaughts.
Oh, of course, that would explain it. They just weren't you. I don't know.
Yes, I have a flatmate.
How nice. It's so important to have companionship, especially when one's an artist.
These are mine. I collect horse brasses.
How useful. May I look out from your window? I love overlooking things. I've always adored heights. In my young days, my husband and I often used to go mountaineering in the Austrian Alps, for preference. Ah! There's BH. You can see Broadcasting House from your window. Isn't that super? To have that reassuring presence brooding over you, seeing that you don't get into mischief. I do like your settee cover. A homely pattern. I love a floral design. I know it's old-fashioned, but...
Childy, Miss McNaught made them.
Really? How clever of her. They're beautifully fitted. You're fortunate to have such a handy companion.
Ah, she's good with the needle, I'll say that for her.
That was Sister George speaking.
One can't help slipping.
But you are Sister George, far more than Miss June Buckridge to all of us at BH.
Jolly nice of you to say so.
You've made the part completely your own. It was obvious. Even at the first auditions, I remember it quite clearly, although it must be...
almost 6 years ago. I was scared stiff.
One can't imagine you scared stiff.
I don't mind actual physical danger. You know, I almost like it. I was in the ATS during the war.
Lovely.
None of that sissy ENSA stuff for yours, truly.
It wasn't that bad. I did a bit of organising for ENSA myself.
I'm sorry. No offence meant.
None taken. Now, Miss Buckridge, or may I call you Sister George, like everybody else?
Certainly.
As you know, I hold a monthly surgery in my office when I welcome people to come to me with their problems. I've always made it a rule to be approachable. But in certain cases involving matters of special importance, I prefer to visit the subjects in their own homes so that we can talk more easily without any duress. That is why I'm here today.
Ah, well, farmers' footsteps are the best manure.
Quite. But there is rather a serious matter I wish to discuss with you.
I see.
Sorry I took so long.
Ah, lovely. We'll continue our little chat after tea.
If you'd rather...
Oh, you can speak quite freely, Mrs. Mercy. Miss McNaught and I have no secrets from each other.
Oh, well, let's all have tea first. I say, what delicious-looking scones.
They're Scotch scones.
They're Childy's speciality. Copied from a recipe of her grandmother's.
They look delish. May I try one?
Oh, help yourself. Here's the jam.
They're what we used to call girdle scones.
Or drop scones.
It's frightfully important not to get the girdle too hot, or the outside of the scones will brown before the inside is cooked.
They're a lovely even colour.
I always cool them in a towel.
Do you?
Yes. And I wait until the bubbles rise to the surface before I turn them over.
They're very successful.
I use half a level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda.
Now you're giving away trade secrets.
And 1 level teaspoon of cream of tartar.
Shut up!
8 ounces of flour.
Shut Up!
And 1 egg.
Shut up!
Now then, girls.
She hates me to talk about food. She's a wee bit overwrought.
Overwrought my arse.
Now, that was not nice. That was not a nice thing to say.
I expect she picked it up in the army.
She swears like a trooper.
But she has a heart of gold.
Once she got into such a temper that I wrote a poem about it.
Yes, she fancies herself as a poetess. Goes to the City Lit every Wednesday night to learn about metre and things.
What a nice hobby.
As a poetess, she makes a very good cook.
It's still a question of mixing the right ingredients to make a tasty whole.
That night she came back in a raging temper.
Thank you very much. We've all stopped listening.
I wrote this poem. It began, "Fierce as the wind blows the rampaging termagant."
Very expressive. And how did you like being compared to the wind, Miss Buckridge?
Slice of cake, Mrs. Mercy?
Oh, just a teeny one. I mustn't be greedy.
Her mother made it.
You can always tell if it's home-baked. It tastes quite different.
You'd be amazed if you knew what old Mother McNaught put into it.
I'm not even going to ask.
I'm delighted to hear it.
Oh, dear, this is just like a dormitory feast, all this girlish banter. I bet you were a terror at school.
I was captain of the hockey team and a keen disciplinarian. God help the girl I caught making me an apple pie bed.
Ah, there's Sister George again. It's wonderful how over the years the characters evolve.
Who first thought of putting her on a moped?
Sound effect. As long as I was on the old bike, listeners never knew whether I was static or mobile.
It's a unique sound. Sister George on her moped, whizzing through the countryside, singing snatches of hymns.
I found it safer to stick to hymns. Once I tried a pop song, and do you know, hundreds of letters came in protesting.
We learn from experience, but we don't want Applehurst falling behind the times.
No, of course not.
But we must constantly examine criticism, and if it's constructive, we must act on it ruthlessly.
What sort of criticism?
Oh, nothing in particular. At least...
But what?
Well, that, I'm afraid, brings me to the unpleasant part of my business.
Oh, dear.
But first, would you show me to the little girl's room?
Alice, show Mrs. Mercy to the...
This way, Mrs. Mercy.
Thank you.
Little girl's room.
It's that door there. What are you doing? That's her briefcase.
Shh, keep a lookout.
You can't. You mustn't.
My own personal file.
Put it back.
Mr. George Confidential.
She's coming. The envelope. You've still got it in your hand. Give it to me. I'll hide it behind the cushions.
Give me the doll. So, Emmeline said,
I don't want any drop scones today, thank you very much.
I got on the scales to see if I've put on any weight. Now then.
I'll make myself scarce.
Please sit down. You won't hold it against me if I speak quite plainly.
Please do.
It's my unpleasant duty to haul you over the coals and administer a severe reprimand.
Oh?
Believe me, Sister George, I'd much rather let bygones be bygones.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Precisely. But I must remind you of the little chat we had just about a year ago, after that unfortunate incident in the club involving a lady colleague of mine.
Well, we don't want to rake over old embers.
I don't intend to, but in the light of recent events, it's difficult to forget an incident as vivid as the pouring of a glass of beer over the assistant head of talks. I had hoped 1 black mark would have been enough for you. But this morning, I received this memo from the Director of Religious Broadcasting. I should like to have your comments.
It's a lie. It's an utter bloody lie.
Please calm yourself, Miss Buckridge. Kindly hand me back the memo.
It's preposterous.
I take it you don't deny that you were drinking in the Bells on the night of the 19th.
How the hell should I know? Alice, come here.
You want me?
Where was I on the night of the 19th?
I'm sorry to involve you in this, Miss McNaught.
That was a Wednesday. I was at the City Lit.
You would be. All right. I possibly was drinking at the Bells on the night in question, having a few pints with the boys. There's no crime in that, is there?
Miss Buckridge, according to this letter from the Mother Superior of the Convent of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, you boarded a taxi which had stopped at the traffic lights at Langham Place.
I thought it was empty.
A taxi bearing as passengers 2 novitiate nuns from Ireland who had just arrived at King's Cross Station.
How was I to know?
You boarded this taxi in a state of advanced inebriation and proceeded to assault the nuns, subjecting them to actual physical violence.
You didn't really?
No, of course not. I'd had a few pints. I saw this cab, got in, and there were 2 black things screaming blue murder.
Why didn't you get out again?
Well, I had a very nasty shock myself. What with their screaming and flapping about? I thought they were bats, vampire bats. It was they who attacked me. I remember getting all entangled in their skirts and petticoats and things. The taxi driver had to pull me free.
A deplorable anecdote. According to the Mother Superior, one of the nuns required medical treatment for shock and is still under sedation. She thought it was the devil.
George, how could you?
Don't you start on me. Back to the kitchen, washing up, presto.
No, I'm staying here. This concerns me too.
It was all a ghastly mistake.
No doubt, but it'll take some explaining.
Fancy reporting it to the Director of Religious Broadcasting. What a nasty thing to do for a holy woman.
The Mother Superior is responsible for the nuns in her charge.
Then she should jolly well teach them how to behave in public. I got the fright of my life in there. Those nuns were like mice. Albino mice. With teeny little white faces and weeny little red eyes. And they were vicious too. Ooh, they scratched and they bit. Well, look. You can still see the tooth marks. Do you see that? I have a good mind to make a counter-complaint to the Mother Superior. They deserve to be scourged in their cells.
Miss Buckridge, I can hardly put through a report to the controller informing him of your allegation that you were bitten by 2 nuns.
No. Well, you could say that...
Be practical, Sister George. We're concerned with retaining the trust and respect of the public. Now, people are perfectly well aware that artists frequently work under great emotional stress. We do all we can to gloss over minor disciplinary offences, but we simply cannot tolerate this sort of behaviour. It's things like this which make people resent paying more for their wireless licences. Thousands of pounds spent on public relations, and you jeopardise it all with your reckless and foolish behaviour. Really, Sister George, we have every reason to be very, very angry with you.
What do you want me to do?
You must write a letter immediately to the Mother Superior, apologising sincerely for your behaviour, and I suggest you offer a small donation for some charity connected with the convent. Then you must send a copy of your letter to the Director of Religious Broadcasting with a covering note from you, couched in suitable terms.
You mean humbling myself?
Don't worry, Mrs. Mercy. I'll see to it that she does it, and I'll make quite sure she doesn't get herself into any mischief in the future.
There speaks a true friend.
What about Applehurst?
Oh, that's another rather more complex problem.
But has anything been decided about the future?
I'm afraid I can't say anything about that at the moment.
It comes as a bit of a shock to me, you know, all this.
It comes as a bit of a shock to me, too, I assure you, particularly as I understand that you often open church bazaars.
I'll look after her. I'll keep her away from convents.
You keep her on a tight rein, and all will be well.
I'm sure it will. Between us, we'll keep her in order.
She won't stand a chance, will she?
Look here. I'm sorry, you know, if I've been a bad boy.
Well, goodbye, dear Sister George. Keep your chin up. Things are never as bad as they seem.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
That's the spirit. And no more walkouts at rehearsals, If you have any complaints, please come and see me about them.
Well, it's the creaking gate that gets oiled.
A somewhat unfortunate simile in the circumstances. So nice to have met you, Miss McNaught.
Nice to have met you too, Mrs. Mercy. What's the subject of your talk tomorrow? Is it a secret, or are you allowed to tell?
It's family planning this week and foundation garments next.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well,
did she say anything? Did she drop any hints behind my back?
No, just general comments, you know, about nuns in taxis.
What do you mean?
Nuns. You know, N-U-N-S. Brides of Christ.
Oh, I see what's biting you.
How could you? How could you make such an exhibition of yourself?
Oh, come on, be your age.
I think you owe me some sort of explanation.
When I think of all those petticoats.
It's the sort of thing you used to do when I first knew you, in that club in Notting Hill Gate. I remember how you used to go clumping about without a bra, hitting girls over the head.
Childie, I'm worried. I say, do me a favour.
What?
Go and ask Madame Xenia to come up. She's an expert on the future.
Oh, I can't. She's probably got a client.
Or maybe she's between appointments. Go on.
I can't just barge in.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. Remember when I was bitten by that Lakeland Terrier and you thought I had rabies? She can always tell us what's going to happen. Go on.
Oh!
This is an emergency. Extreme measures must be taken. Go and get her at once.
I can't. She hates my guts.
Why?
She thinks I'm after her lodger.
What?
It's a complete fantasy.
There's no smoke without fire.
Just like the last one you scared off.
I could see which way the wind was blowing there. I soon nipped that in the bud.
I only helped him with his homework. He was a mere boy.
There is nothing mere about boys. Now go and fetch her up once and watch her step.
Oh, you've always got to have someone to do your dirty work.
Thanks. You're a pal. And in recognition of your devoted work and care for the old and sick.
I'm so sorry to drag you away.
That's all right. I know. George, darling, what's the matter?
Madame was in the middle of a consultation with a client.
Oh, I am sorry.
Never mind, you are my friend. Always you come first. Now, darling, what's the matter?
Madame Xenia, I am worried out of my wits. It's the BBC. They're driving me mad.
They will suffer for it. I will put curses on them. Sit down. Make yourself at home.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I always say to people to make them relax. Right, and you? Will you please sit facing the east?
Which way is the east?
There, towards Great Portland Street.
Oh, yes, of course.
I require a personal possession from you to hold in my hand, to connect with your vibrations. Anything, a piece of jewellery?
Oh, I don't wear jewellery. Well, will a hanky do?
Oh, beautiful. Now, to work. First, a warning. Next week will be tough for Sagittarians. Mars is in conjunction with Venus. And I don't have to tell you what that means. I brought the cards with me. Kindly cut them.
All right.
Again. And once more, just for luck.
As the bishop said to the actress.
We can dispense with observations from the east.
A short journey to see a friend, a pleasant surprise, unexpected money. The Queen of Spades! A woman in black you do not like?
The Mother Superior?
Shut up.
Whoever it is, keep out of her way. She's no good to you.
What is she going to do?
She's inviting you to a big do.
The Mother Superior?
I see lots of people, lots of drink, dancing.
I know. It's not the convent. It's the drag ball at Richmond. We're going as Laurel and Hardy.
Slight emotional upset, nothing serious. You hear of a broken romantic association. You catch a cold, a very bad one.
When?
Now, maybe it's because I'm holding your handkerchief. Forget the cold. What else?
My career?
I can see a red-headed man.
Ginger the publican. What's he doing?
I'm afraid it's not very clear. Ah! I see a letter. A very important letter.
The envelope.
The envelope.
The envelope.
Under the cushions.
It could be a postcard.
Here it is. Do you want to open it?
No.
Let's send it back to her. Tell her she must have dropped it out of her bag.
No, it's fallen into our hands. We'd better read it.
May I see the envelope?
Yes, of course. Here, do you get any vibrations?
It's difficult to say. Could mean one of two things.
Oh, give it to me. I'm going to open it. What must be, must be. Oh, my God!
George! What's the matter, George? What does it say?
Memo from Audience Research, latest popularity rating. Sister George, 64.5%. Ginger Hopkins, 68.
That's the weapon they've been waiting for. Now, they'll kill me. Oh!
Pinch, punch, 1st of the month.
Oh, are you out of your mind?
It's the 1st of the month, October.
Well, you could have given me a heart attack.
Sorry.
God almighty. What's the time?
4 in the morning. Oh, just after.
Oh, when are you supposed to get there?
There's no rush. The gang gets there at about 5. Have you made out your list?
Nope.
Well, why didn't you? You're a nuisance. Are you sure you don't want me to try for Swan Lake?
Oh, I can't stand those bloody little cygnets prancing about in their tutu.
All right, all right. Nobody's forcing you.
My sympathy's entirely with von Rothbart.
I'll just try for Giselle, then.
Yeah, you try. And Petrushka. Don't forget Petrushka.
You told me last night you didn't want to see Petrushka.
Did I? Oh, well, I've changed my mind.
Oh, you are a nuisance. I put a tick against Petrushka, and then I crossed it out, and now I've got to put a tick again. And now I can't find the brochure.
You're annoying me, you know. Stop getting so het up about your bloody ballet.
It's all very well for you to talk. You'll be sitting at home. There's a big queue, and if you don't know what to ask for...
You've got plenty of time to decide what to ask for. You're only queuing for queue tickets now.
I know, but we've all got our lists. Anyway, there's no certainty that we get what we ask for, and only so many for Fontaine and Nureyev.
Well, in that case, why make a list?
You've got to ask for it first, even if you don't get it.
You'll get something you're not asking for in a minute.
Anyway, it wouldn't have hurt you to come with me. You're up?
Well, I came with you once, remember? Oh, never again. All that gossip and name-dropping.
The only reason you didn't like it was because you were embarrassed by the lorry driver.
What lorry driver?
The one that called at you, "That's a nice pair of headlamps."
Well, he was paying me a compliment. Unlike the gentleman in Soho who suggested you should wear a pair of sunglasses for a brassiere.
Don't be disgusting.
You're my flatmate in more senses than one.
George, don't drink any more of that gin.
Mind your own business.
Night after night I find you sitting up with a bottle of gin and that old press-cutting book. And then you wonder why you're tired.
I can't sleep.
You don't even try. You must try to relax. Unwind.
Relax. Unwind. It's easy for you to talk.
You've been impossible ever since last week when Mrs. Mercy came to tea.
Well, I'm more impossible since I ran into her again yesterday.
Where?
At BH.
What did she say? Did she say anything to you?
I bumped into her in the corridor. Literally bumped into her. I said, "Oh, sorry."
And what did she say?
"Oh, it's you. Chin up, Sister George." And she patted my arm as if to say, "Sorry, it can't be helped."
You're imagining things again.
She's been avoiding me, I tell you, and I know why.
She was probably in a hurry to get somewhere, a committee meeting or something.
They've had that, and I found out what happened.
Well, what?
I'm to be written out of next Tuesday's episode.
What?
Are you deaf? I said...
I heard. So what? It's happened before. Every time you go on holiday.
But I'm not going on holiday, am I? Sister George is confined to bed with a bad cold.
Oh, now, that in itself...
That in itself could mean a dress rehearsal for my extinction.
Nothing of the sort.
That cold's going to get worse. It'll turn to bronchitis, then pneumonia, and before I know where I am, I shall be out like a light.
You're making a mountain out of a molehill. You've missed episodes before. It's nothing to lose sleep over.
Are you having breakfast before you go?
I usually have a hot pie with the gang in one of the workmen's cafes.
Oh.
It's ever such fun, really.
Oh.
You get the ballet crowd and the night shift from the market all mixing together.
Oh, sounds scintillating.
It's ever so lively. Why don't you get dressed and come? They'd be thrilled to see you. And everyone would ask for your autograph.
No, you run along and enjoy yourself. Leave me here, waiting for the new scripts to arrive.
I don't know what's the matter with you lately. You've become really morbid. You used to be such fun.
What are you talking about? We're going to that fancy dress ball tonight, aren't we? Well, I bet it'll be you who'll be pale and wan tonight after getting up at this unearthly hour.
Haven't you had enough?
No. To absent friends. Your health? Albino mice.
You are naughty.
Say that again.
What?
What you just said.
You are naughty.
That's it. It's the same inflection. Takes me back years.
Oh, you mean...
When we first met. in Mrs. Goodbody's tastefully furnished bed-sitters. Do you know, for weeks I watched you come and go and never said a word to you.
You were different then. You hadn't become famous.
Every morning I used to watch you go to work, punctually at 9:10 every morning. You were always in a rush.
I had to get to the underground at 20 past.
Often you were in such a hurry you'd fall over on the doorstep. Or if it had been raining, you'd come slithering out shouting, "Oops!"
I had no idea you were watching me.
One night, I went into the bathroom just after you'd had a bath. The mirror was all steamed up and the bath mat was moist and glistening where you'd stood on it. There was a smell of talcum powder and bath crystals. It was like an enchanted wood. I stood quite still on that mat in your footsteps, and I saw that you'd left your comb behind. It was a small, pink, plastic comb, and it had your hairs in it. I've kept that comb as a souvenir. And all this time, I'd never spoken a word to you.
You soon made up for it.
That night, your boyfriend saw you home, and I knew I'd have to strike quickly.
That was Roger. He wanted to marry me.
That's what they all said. And you fell for it, silly goose.
Some of them meant it. Roger meant it.
What are you talking about? Roger was already married.
He still meant it. I liked Roger. He had a ginger moustache.
What a lot of rubbish. His moustache was ginger because he used to singe it with his cigarettes. You told me so yourself. You said that every time he kissed you, it tasted all burnt and beery.
I might have had babies.
You haven't been lonely, exactly?
There's a performance of Petrushka on the 19th. I might try for that.
Shh. Was that the post?
At this time of the morning? It won't be here for hours yet. You really ought to go to bed.
What am I going to do? They're driving me round the bend.
You're driving yourself round the bend. Why don't you go to bed?
Because I can't sleep.
Shall I get you some hot milk?
Ugh.
You'll catch a cold, you know, sitting up like this.
I've already got a cold.
Well, keep your throat covered up then. Put the dressing gown on properly. It's time we got you a new dressing gown. This collar's all frayed. I'll put some new braid on it tomorrow. There, that's better.
Thanks.
Shall I put the gin away?
No. I just want to hold it for a moment.
I ought to be going. It's 4:30. Will you be all right?
Childie, they won't do it, will they? They can't, after all I've done for them.
Of course they won't, George. You must stop brooding about it. You'll make yourself ill. Why don't you go to bed and try and sleep it off? You can set the alarm to wake you for rehearsal tomorrow.
There is no rehearsal tomorrow.
That's good, then. You can get a nice long rest. Now, George, I've got to go.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, George, they'll be waiting for me. I'll be at the back of the queue.
Well, you can't go like that, you know.
Like what?
Oh, that knapsack. You're not going on a hike, you know.
There's only a change of clothing in it to take to the office and a few provisions. Please, may I go now?
Did you speak?
Yes, I said, may I go now?
Not before you have made your obeisances to me in the proper manner.
What do you mean?
You must kiss the hem of my garment. On your knees. Go on. Down, boy. Down.
Oh, all right.
Now, repeat after me. I hereby solemnly swear.
I hereby solemnly swear.
That I will not allow.
That I will not allow.
Anyone whomsoever.
Anyone whomsoever.
Including Mr. Katz, gratification of his fleshly instincts with me today or at any other time.
All right, I swear.
Well, mind you remember. Or may the curse of Satan fall on your head.
That's one for Giselle, one Petrushka, and no lac, right?
Rien de lac de cygne, c'est juste. Mon petit chou.
All right. George, let go. Let go.
What's this?
What?
This scarf isn't yours, is it? Where'd you get it?
Oh, come on now. Give it back to me.
Who is J.V.S. Partridge?
A young Liberal. Satisfied?
Far, far from satisfied. How long have you been entangled with this youth?
He's not a youth. He's 46.
Bit long in the tooth for a young Liberal, isn't he? Who is he?
The chap from downstairs, Dafty. Madame Xenia's lodger.
Ah, I thought there was some monkey business going on there.
There is not. I've only ever seen him twice.
How did you get his scarf, then?
I pinched it off the hall stand.
Do you expect me to believe that?
Look, George, I'd never even spoken to him. It's nothing.
That's what you said when you went off with that estate agent for a weekend in Birmingham.
That was 5 years ago.
It happened once, it can happen again.
Nothing happened.
Oh?
Nothing.
Well, nothing's going to happen now, because I forbid you to speak to him.
You must be raving mad. He's a neighbour. There's no harm in being friendly.
I forbid you to speak to him. Do you hear?
I'll flipping well speak to him if I want to. Why shouldn't I?
You fancy him, don't you?
He seems perfectly agreeable. Yes, I do fancy him. He's a dish. Don't touch me. You've no right to.
I've got every right.
I'm not married to you, you know.
Here. Take your scarf.
I'm sorry, George. But you asked for it.
You better get along. You'll be late.
Look after yourself. Don't forget the party tonight. Be good. Goodbye.
Ah, there's my beautiful bike. Morning, old friend. We'll have you started up in no time. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Bye, Jean. Bye, Rosie. Tell your dad to mind his gammy leg. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Oh, God, our help in ages past. Morning, Ginger. Morning, Vicar. Our hope for years to come. Be thou our guard while troubles last, and our eternal home. And what, may I ask, is the meaning of that, Stanley?
Nothing, Ollie. I was just playing a tune.
Well, may I suggest that you stop playing a tune and get on with the next bit? A one, a two. By the light, dum-ba-dum-dum-da-dum, of the silvery moon, dum-da-dum-dum-da-dum, I used to rum, dum-da-dum-dum-dum. Ah! What was the meaning of that?
Nothing, Ollie. I was only practicing.
Oh, fiddlesticks.
Did you say fiddlesticks, Ollie?
Well, just because the scriptwriters have cured my cold, there's no need to go bloody mad.
It's Madame Xenia. She's come to fetch us. She's early.
Well, don't stand there and gape. Open the door. Oh, I must get Ollie's tie twiddling right this time. Do-ba-do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Mercy. We were expecting...
Oh, I'm so sorry to intrude. I do hope it's not inconvenient.
Not at all. I'm sorry. We were just,
playing charades.
Laurel and Hardy. We're just getting ready to go out to a fancy dress ball.
Oh, I'll come back another time when it's more convenient. Perhaps Miss Buckridge could come to see me tomorrow morning before the rehearsal.
We're not in a rush. We can talk now. Would you have a drink?
No, thank you. I know it's most remiss of me turning up unexpectedly like this. Actually, I've come straight from a meeting. I felt I had to see you personally.
The nuns?
Oh, didn't the office tell you? We had a most charming communication from the Mother Superior. All is forgiven. But there's still the little matter of the charity.
What charity?
The donation you promised to give to the convent.
Oh, that.
It's only obliquely mentioned in the letter.
Well, I didn't expect her to forget about it. Alice, remind me to send her a cheque tomorrow. It'll keep their Irish novices in hair shirts.
I'm relieved to see the matter settled. Now, Miss Buckridge, I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
Bad news?
You're the first to be told. It's only just been decided, or rather, it's only just received the official stamp of approval.
You can't mean...
Yes, I'm sorry, Miss Buckridge. It's the end of Sister George.
But why?
Believe me, dear Miss Buckridge, the decision is no reflection on your ability as an actress. You created a character that has become a nationwide favourite.
But why kill her?
Why do some of our nearest and dearest have to die? Because that's life. In Applehurst, we try to recreate the flavour of life as it's lived in hundreds of English villages.
But George is the most popular character in it.
I know. The BBC took that into consideration. They felt, and I must say I concurred, that only some dramatic event, something that would get into the news headlines, could save Applehurst. We felt that in their grief, robbed of one of their greatest favourites, listeners would return again to Applehurst with a new loyalty and a...
How?
It's not for another fortnight. It's scheduled for the 12th.
But how?
It's just an ordinary morning in Applehurst. The chaffinch on Sister George's windowsill wakes her up as usual and is rewarded with its daily saucerful of crumbs.
Hello, Dickie.
Up the road, in the old mill farm, young Jimmy Bromley, the scamp, wakes up with a cough and doesn't want to go to school. "We'd better get Sister George in," says his mother, and he's up in a jiffy. Meanwhile, punctual to the minute, Sister George finishes her breakfast and packs a basketful of preserves and cottage cheese for old Mrs. Hinch, in bed with bronchitis. On with her bonnet and cape, and off she goes, striding purposefully through the autumn leaves, sound effects here, to the bicycle shed. The bolts are pushed back and the door creaks open, and there stands her prized possession, the moped.
Morning, old friend.
Whiz, pop, the engine starts and away she goes. Pop, 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 pop. "Hurry up, Jemmy, you'll be late for school," she calls out. "Tell Mrs. Pemberton to give you plenty of homework to keep you out of mischief." "I will," the boy calls back, adding, as she drives out of earshot, "I don't think."
Cheeky little beggar.
A chorus of greetings follows her as she heads for the open country, the wind billowing in her cape, and bursts, as usual, into a snatch of her favourite hymn, "O God, our help in ages past." "Honk, honk," answers her hooter in a merry descant as she turns into Oakmead Road, and then, bang! Collision with a 10-ton truck.
Oh, my God.
Is it?
Instantaneous.
Oh.
Never regains consciousness.
You can't. You can't.
It so happens that your death will coincide with Road Safety Week, a cause which we know has been close to you for many years.
I've never ridden carelessly. I protest.
I know. We're taking great care to establish it's the lorry driver's fault.
But even so, a 10-ton truck...
I'm sorry, but there it is.
I think I have a right to a say in my own mode of death.
Now do leave it to us, dear Miss Buckridge. Leave it to the BBC. We know best. We've had experience in these matters.
If I could have been killed in the course of duty, from some infection, perhaps. An epidemic, that's it. I could go to nurse a patient somewhere up in the hills, someone suffering from some unspeakable disease.
I'm sorry, Miss Buckridge. The scripts have been typed.
But they could be altered.
I'm afraid they've been officially approved.
Then I shall take this to a higher authority.
It's not fair.
Shut up, childie.
I won't shut up.
I was going to say that I'm sure the BBC will want to find some other outlets for Miss Buckridge's talents.
I'm still not satisfied about the accident.
I'm afraid that decision is final.
You said the BBC wanted to use me again.
Yes, but not as Sister George.
What's wrong with Sister George?
Nothing, dear Miss Buckridge. She'll be dead, that's all.
Come on, George. Come and lie down. Come on. Come on.
In due course, I hope to discuss ideas for a new series with you. We'll do something really exciting. I'm sure of it.
Mrs. Mercy, I would like to thank you for coming here personally today to tell me of the decision. I don't really feel up to discussing ideas for a new series at the moment.
Of course you don't.
Please don't go. Childie, Miss McNaught will make you a cup of tea or something. I'll have to go and lie down for a bit.
Will you be all right, George?
What did you say?
I said, will you be all right?
You called me George then, didn't you? You'll have to get out of that habit.
I really don't think I should stay any longer.
Please stay, Mrs. Mercy. I'd like you to.
Well, of course, if I can be of any assistance.
Just to have someone to talk to.
I expect things haven't been easy for you recently.
She's been impossible. Life's been absolute hell.
I thought as much.
Night after night I found her sitting up, drinking. Said she couldn't get to sleep with worry.
Did she keep you awake?
Some nights she made such a din that the neighbours complained.
Oh, I had no idea it was as bad as that.
It's been diabolical.
I do feel sorry for you.
When she gets anxious or nervous or anything, she has to take it out on somebody. Who do you think bears the brunt? Yours truly.
I'm amazed you put up with it.
I have no alternative.
Oh, come. Surely there must be lots of openings for a girl with your qualifications.
I've been with George for 7 years.
7 years? As long as that?
Yes, she was quite unknown when we first met.
I expect she was easier to get on with in those days.
She was always very jealous. Wouldn't let anyone come near me.
What a shame. Particularly as it's so important for someone with literary ability to have contact with a lot of people.
How did you know that I...
Well, you mentioned your interest in poetry last time we met. You attend classes, I believe.
Yes, every Wednesday.
I'd like to read your poems, if I may.
Would you? Would you really? Shall I get them now?
No, we'd better not disturb Miss Buckridge now. Give me a ring at the BBC and my secretary will fix an appointment.
Oh, thank you. It's really awfully kind of you to take such an interest.
Have you ever thought of writing for the radio?
It had occurred to me. You know, sometimes one hears such tripe and one...
I know what you were going to say.
Oh,
never
sorry.
mind. No, never mind. We all feel the same way at times. Anyway, I'm not responsible for all the programmes.
I'm sure yours are by far the best.
Flattery.
No, honestly. Years ago, before I knew you had anything to do with Applehurst, I listened to your talks on the wireless about people's problems. And honestly, they were really understanding.
I'm so glad. Well, you've got a little problem on your hands, and no mistake.
A big problem.
What are we going to do?
Don't know.
Is she always so difficult?
Difficult? She gets very violent. Especially after she's had a few pints. I hope she won't get into a rage and murder me.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. When she gets into a temper, she's capable of anything.
Has she ever attacked you?
Often. It happens all the time.
But this is outrageous.
She beats me, you know. She hits me with anything that comes into her hand.
But why do you put up with it?
I have nowhere else to go.
Oh, surely there's somewhere.
I couldn't face living alone. Not anymore.
My poor child. This is terrible. Look, if there's any more trouble, with George, I mean, don't hesitate to give me a ring. Please regard me as your friend.
Oh, you are kind, Mrs. Mercy.
And we must find somewhere for you to go.
Would you? Would you really?
Leave it to me. How pretty this room looks in the evening sunlight. All these charming dolls. This one, for instance.
That one's my favourite. Her name is Emmeline.
Hello, Emmeline.
Do you think I ought to go and see if George is all right?
I should leave her where she is, the naughty woman.
I hadn't even offered you a cup of tea.
We haven't time for a cup of tea. We have to go. Goodbye, little Emmeline.
I wish you could stay.
So do I. But I'm glad we've had a chance to have a little chat. Now, remember what I told you. If there's any more trouble, get straight on the telephone to me.
Gee, I'm frightened.
That's the spirit. Don't let her bully you.
She's a devil when roused.
Don't worry, I'll see myself out. Goodbye, dear. Must run. Have fun.
Must run. Have fun. George! George, are you all right? George! George! What am I going to do?
Oh God, our healthy ages past, our hope for years to come.
You awake, Fred? Oh, aye. Oh, well, don't fall asleep at the wheel now. We're nearly there.
I'm not up to it anymore. This all-night driving.
Oh, well, there's a turning coming up now. Don't miss it.
Oh God, our healthy
Let's get there fast. I'm hungry. Hey, look out!
We hit her! Fred, we hit her!
It weren't my fault. I braked.
My God, she looks bad. Hey there!
What happened?
The bike came round corner, all fast.
I tried to brake. It weren't my fault.
I always did say we're a dangerous crossing. Is she badly? Holy saints! It's Sister George!
It were.
Oh, oi, poor George. All right, I come. Yes, I will take the flowers, but I don't know where I'm going to put them. Another wreath, so big, so beautiful. Soon we shall not be able to move for wreaths and crosses and bunches of flowers. They are mad! I told them we were not accepting any more calls. You are mad. I told you we were not accepting any more calls. A message from whom? The girls of your exchange? Yes, I will convey it. Very nice of you. Charming. Miss Buckridge will be very touched. Who am I? No, I have nothing to do with Applehurst. No, I am not the old gypsy woman who stole a pig. You are beginning to make me very upset. I will not speak to you anymore. And no more calls, if you please. Stupid bitch.
What time is it?
10:30 in the morning.
Heavens, I'm going to be late for the funeral. Oh, not more flowers. I shall never find my things.
I have been working.
Where's George?
Out, gone. I don't know where. I'm very worried.
Gone? Where?
Since early this morning. I came up with 2 wreaths and some lilies. She took one look, rushed into the lift, slammed the gate in my face, and went down like a captain on a sinking ship, but not saluting, swearing.
She ought never to have listened to the accident. It was dreadful.
I just listened to the tape again, that beautiful hymn, the screeching brakes, then crash, bang, wallop.
Don't.
It was like a gasworks blowing up. Horrible. Oh, I cried again.
Ought we to ring the police or something?
No, we must wait and work. Everything must be right for her when she comes back. Listen to the card on this wreath. Unforgotten, from the patients and staff of the Sister George Geriatrics Ward. Beautiful. I could cry.
She'll like that.
All wreaths against the wall. There. All beautifully organized.
Honestly, Madame Xenia, you're a brick.
Why'd you say that?
It's an expression. A friend. A help.
I promised George I would take charge today, and I hold my promise.
Could I look at some of the telegrams?
If you're very careful and don't get them mixed up. There are 3 piles. Those are personal, those are official, and those are doubtful.
Let's look at some of the doubtfuls.
What I would like more than anything is a nice cup of tea.
Oh, no!
What?
Trust her to get in on the act.
Oh, you must not do this.
How dare she send telegrams after all these years?
From what person?
Heartfelt condolences, love, Liz.
Liz?
A friend of George's, before my time.
Uh-huh.
An absolute cow. Heartfelt condolences. She's mocking her. I hope George isn't going to be late.
I think it is a mistake for her to listen today. Psychologically, it is a mistake.
Oh, I don't know. She can't just play a character for 6 years and miss her own exit.
But it will upset her.
All her friends will be there. People she's worked with for years. There'll be tributes paid. There'll be a proper service. I mean to say, there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things.
I do not understand you.
Maybe in your country, people...
What do you mean, in my country? We had state funerals which could have taught you something. 28 horses with black plumes.
Ha! Well, you had a lot of practice, didn't you? All those assassinations.
Assassinations?
Shooting people.
Of course we shoot people we don't like. You send them to the House of Lords. What's the difference?
Anyway, if you expect the BBC to lay on 28 horses with black plumes, you're in for a disappointment. It's only radio.
Do you want me to go? Immediately I go downstairs.
No.
You can explain my absence to George when she comes back. If she comes back.
No, Madame Xenia, please stay. I didn't mean to be rude. It's my nerves. I'm so worried about George. Supposing she's really cracked up and thrown herself under a bus or something, what am I going to do?
No, it is not a bus. I read the cards this morning. It is something to do with the head.
The head? Oh, no! I can't bear it.
Shh! There's somebody at the front door.
George.
Look cheerful. She must see happy faces.
She'll kill me if she sees me walking about like this, in my nightie.
Open the windows and let the sunshine in.
We are here, my darling.
It's glorious out. Xenia, darling, how sweet of you to hold the fort. I do hope you weren't pestered too much.
George, we were so worried. Where have you been?
Shopping. I picked up this marvellous Christmas gift hamper packed full of goodies. And 2 bottles of Veuve Clicquot 53.
But what for?
I've decided to skip listening to the funeral and have a celebration.
Celebration?
Yes. More a coming-out party, really.
But who is coming out?
I am.
I see you bought something else as well.
Do you like the hat?
It is charming. Where did you find it?
That little shop on the corner. Saw it in the window and I couldn't resist it.
You were absolutely right. It does something for you.
Oh, do you think so?
Makes you look so young. Like 18 years.
Ha, ha, ha.
And what are you laughing at, childie? And why aren't you dressed yet? You look positively indecent.
I overslept. I had a bit of a hangover.
A hangover? After 2 glasses of shandy?
I mixed it a bit.
With what? Ginger ale? Do you think it proper to entertain visitors in this unseemly attire, childie?
Oh, please, please.
Did you make Madame Xenia a cup of tea?
It really wasn't necessary.
What's the matter with you?
Don't know.
You should have been out and about for the last 3 hours. Did you do your exercises?
No.
Oh, God help us. She takes a keep fit course, you know. Knee bends, running on the spot, bicycling on her back. To judge by her condition, it's been singularly ineffective. I want a cup of tea now. And one for Madame Xenia. And get dressed and look sharpish about it. Avanti!
I think your hat is a big mistake.
What? This day will end in tears.
They won't be my tears.
The baggage. The little baggage.
She is upset.
She's no business to be upset. It's my funeral.
She's taking it hard. Some people...
Oh, some people are no good in the crisis. I've seen it over and over again during the war.
Ah, the war. I was an air raid warden.
I was in the army, attached to the commandos. It was tough, but by God, it was rewarding.
It's lucky for her she wasn't old enough.
Childie in the army? That'd be a giggle. She'd have collapsed under the weight of her forage cap.
Would you like to go through the latest floral tributes?
If it's absolutely necessary.
Look at this. From the patients and staff of the Sister George Geriatrics Ward. In that hospital, your name will never die.
Her name?
Her name, your name, same thing.
No, it's not. George and I have parted company. And do you know, I'm glad to be free of the silly bitch.
What?
Honestly.
George, what are you saying?
I'm saying that my name is June. June Buckridge. I'm endeavouring to memorise it.
You are incredible.
Tea up.
At last.
I'm afraid one of the telegrams got crumpled up. You'd better read it. Will there be any reply, madam?
From Liz? I don't believe it.
I thought you'd be pleased.
It's always nice to hear from old friends.
La 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 la. Sugar, Madame Xenia?
No, thank you. I take it neat.
She was a thoroughbred, you know, Liz. Nervy, stringy, temperamental. I remember I used to tease her because her hair grew down her neck like a thin mane between her shoulder blades. Oh. I knew that would annoy her.
She got out of bed with the left foot this morning.
Well, come on. Let's open the champers. Then we can clear out some of the foliage.
I go. Soon we shall need a greenhouse.
I say, thanks awfully for helping me out today, Madame Xenia.
But you are my friend. For you, I do anything. Oh, perhaps this one is from Buckingham Palace.
And about time, too. They've been slacking.
Oh, did you want to see Miss Buckley?
Madame, have you got a glass?
I do hope I'm not disturbing you.
Mrs. Mercy. No, of course not.
Dear Sister George, for you, a little tribute from all of us in admin at BH.
White lilies. Thanks. Extremely decent of you. I appreciate the thought. Would you be an angel, madame, and put them in water? Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Do you know each other? This is Madame Xenia, Mrs. Mercy Croft.
What? The Mrs. Mercy?
Of course. Didn't you know?
But I love you, my dear. I adore you.
Have I had the pleasure?
You don't know me from Adam, my darling, but for 20 years I have listened to you every single week.
Charming.
How nice. A glass for the corpse, at any rate.
I cannot tell you. Your advice is 100%. 120%. One senses you have a heart. You have suffered.
Well, we all have our ups and downs.
But you have had more downs than ups, am I right?
I shouldn't like to...
Of course I am. I knew at once. Ask George here. Am I ever wrong?
Never. She's quite infallible. You see, Madame Xenia is a clairvoyant.
A psychometrist.
Oh, sorry.
I write a syndicated column every week. Star forecasts. Heck work, but what the hell one's got to live?
I'm afraid I don't really believe in that
Be
kind
careful what you do on the 10th. There's treachery around you. Don't sign any important document before full moon.
I'm obliged to you, but
There's
really...
news from abroad.
I thought you'd be all alone this morning. That's why I came.
Very kind of you.
You're inclined to suffer from digestive disorders. Don't worry, it's nothing serious.
Madame is helping me out today.
A tall man doesn't like you. Avoid him.
It would be somewhat difficult at the BBC.
An old association will be broken. Never mind. There are plenty of birds in the sky.
I think you mean fish in the sea.
Interesting. Must be born under Pisces. Oh, well, I'll get some water for your lilies.
She's been marvellous today. Done all the organising.
Isn't your friend, Miss
McNaught? She's not up yet. I'm afraid she's no good at times like these. No backbone. Ballast.
Oh, what beautiful tributes. May I read some? I adore inscriptions.
There's a whole lot more in the bathroom. As soon as child is dressed, she can take them all and dump them on the cenotaph.
But you can't do that. They're for you. Do you know the entire Applehurst company turned up for the recording today in black? It was quite spontaneous.
They must be bonkers.
We felt we couldn't let her go without some mark of respect. After all, she's been with us for how long?
6 perishing years.
Oh, come now. You know you've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yes, but it's over. I just want to forget it.
I don't think your public will let you. You can see how much you meant to them, all these flowers.
Actually, I was just on the point of changing.
For the funeral?
For the broadcast.
Is the vase all right?
Well, wasn't there something a little more conservative?
I can put them in a milk bottle if you like. Or perhaps you'd prefer a bottle of gin. It's good to have one's hard work appreciated. Getting up early in the morning.
Madame Xenia, I'm eternally grateful. You've been a brick.
Yes, I've been told before.
What a charming message. Ever-present spirit-like. Hearken, the familiar sound. Sister George astride her bike in the happy hunting ground.
Well, happy hunting, Sister George.
You're off then, are you, dear?
I'm afraid my client is waiting. The moment you need me, just stamp on the floor.
I shall be absolutely all right. I say, If any more flowers come, shove them in the coal shed.
Leave everything to me. I am your friend.
Fare thee well. Go in peace, good woman.
I can take a hint.
Thank you, darling.
You do have a lot of friends, don't you?
I hope so. I like to think...
Loneliness is the great scourge of our time.
Too true.
I had visions of you sitting by your wireless set alone with your grief.
With Miss McNaught, actually, but it comes to the same thing.
Frankly, I'm amazed you're taking it like this.
Like what?
So calmly, cheerfully.
The uncertainty was the worst. Once that was over...
You have a very strong character. Will you go on listening to the programme now?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought. Probably not. I mean, it might be rather distressing, you know, hearing all the old voices going on without me.
Isn't that rather a selfish attitude?
Selfish?
You died to save the series. Surely you want to take an interest in its fortunes.
Well...
I think the next few episodes will be particularly fascinating. Your death means an enormous readjustment to the whole community. It will take weeks, even months, to get over the shock. But eventually the gap must be filled. New leaders will arise.
Leaders? What new leaders? Oh!
Nurse Lawrence.
What?
Yes. She arrives from the district hospital tomorrow to take over from you.
But she's a probationer! She couldn't put a dressing on a salad! They won't stand for that, you know.
On the contrary, Nurse Lawrence wins the trust and affection of the village and becomes known, rather charmingly, I think, as Sister Larry.
Sister Larry? You're going to make this ill-bred, uneducated little slut...
Contemporary appeal, Sister George. People like that do exist, and in positions of power and influence. Flawed, credible characters like Ginger, Nurse Lawrence, Rosie.
What about Rosie?
She's pregnant.
Well, I know that. Unless she's not married either, that's about as flawed and credible as you can get.
She's going to marry her boyfriend, Lenny.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad. Well, I'm glad about that. Glad.
Mind you, it's not his baby.
Eh?
It's Roy's, from the army camp at Oakmead. She tells Lenny, makes a full confession, he forgives her, and they live happily ever after.
Pardon me while I vomit.
Oh, hello.
Hello, dear. I was wondering where you were.
I didn't go to work today.
No. Of course not.
Can I make you a cup of tea, Mrs. Mercy?
I'd simply adore a cup of tea.
Mrs. Mercy's come over with the charming news that I'm to be replaced by Nurse Lawrence.
Nurse Lawrence? Nurse Lawrence? Do I know her?
Of course you know her. That interfering busybody from Oakmead.
Oh, her.
Yes, her.
Anyway, it's not really your concern anymore what happens in Applehurst. You're out of it.
Can't you understand? I built it up. I made it what it is. It's not nice to see one's life work ruined.
I have got one piece of cheering news for you, if you can bear to hear it.
I can bear it. Pour me out a glass of gin, childie. You were saying, Mrs. Mercy?
It concerns your future.
My future, yes. We must talk of the future. Is there still time?
There's still nearly an hour to go.
Did you want to stay for the
broadcast?
The funeral, yes.
No, I have to get back to BH. We're having a little party, you know. Perhaps party isn't quite the right word.
A wake?
I suppose one could call it that. That's why I want a quick word with you, Miss Buckridge. Confidentially.
Childie, tea for Mrs. Mercy.
Oh, I'll get it.
Mrs. Coote has promised to come. You know Mrs. Coote, don't you? She's in charge of toddler time.
Yes, charming woman.
Well, dear, she's very anxious to have you.
Really?
What I'm telling you now is strictly off the cuff. Everything's still in the planning stage. I thought I'd nip over and tell you that there's a ray of sunshine on the horizon.
I am all ears.
Well, dear, as you probably know, toddler time has been... what shall we say, a wee bit disappointing. Audience research figures, this is strictly entre nous, you understand,
yes,
show a slight but perceptible slide. So, a completely new approach has been decided upon.
Don't tell me. Marauding gollywogs, drunk teddy bears and pregnant bunnies.
Not quite, dear.
Your tea.
Oh, thank you, dear. You see, we're preparing an absolutely super new adventure series, which will combine exciting narrative with a modern outlook. And you're being considered for the title role.
What's it called?
The World of Clarabelle Cow.
Am I to understand this character is a cow?
A very human one, I assure you, full of little foibles and prejudices.
Am I to take it that you have come here today, the day of the funeral of Sister George, to offer me the part of a cow?
We must be practical, dear. None of us can afford to be out of work for too long.
You are joking, aren't you?
We don't joke about these things at the BBC, Miss Buckridge.
It's jolly nice of Mrs. Mercy to come over specially to tell you.
I thought it was a brilliant idea of Mrs. Coots.
I can't stand it. I'm going mad.
One more chrysanthemum's wreath for luck.
Who from?
I never thought I'd survive you, Mrs. Ethel Inch.
She doesn't know yet.
She's going to die, Madame Xenia, in 2 months' time. They're going to murder her, too. An old lady of 85 who's never done anyone the slightest harm.
How terrible, are you sure?
Murderous.
George! Really, Miss Buckridge, restrain yourself.
Is your bloodlust sated? How many other victims are you going to claim?
Control yourself.
George, you're drunk, my darling. He's upset. She's had an earthly shock.
With reference to toddler time, would you thank Mrs. Coote for her kind interest?
There's no need for you to decide today.
And tell her I cannot possibly accept the part in question.
Very well. I'll tell her.
I go.
Don't be silly, George. You can't afford to turn this down.
I'm not playing the part of a cow.
A cow? What cow?
I'm not playing the part of a cow.
Yes.
I've taken your point, Miss Buckridge.
There are 2 nuns to see Sister George.
No.
Nuns before noon is a good omen.
I'll take your word for it.
I better see what she's doing. George? What are you doing?
I'm sorry, Sister George is getting ready for her funeral.
She appears to be running a bath.
Shall I go and speak to her?
She won't do anything silly, will she?
See if she's all right? Yes. I'm so worried.
There was bound to be a reaction.
George! I can't hear what you're saying. Turn the bloody taps off. She wants to be left alone.
How did she sound?
Like a walrus.
Oh, thank God! She is herself again. I go.
My poor child. There.
I can't stand it anymore.
I know. You've been under a terrible strain.
You've no idea, Mrs. Mercy.
I can imagine.
She's been terrible.
Hush, dear. She'll hear you. Come. Sit on the sofa beside me.
I was praying you'd come.
I wasn't going to leave you alone with her today. Besides, I had promised.
Oh, I know. But I knew how busy you were.
First things first.
I knew I could rely on you. I felt it the first time I met you.
And I felt I was speaking to a proud and sensitive person whose personality was being crushed.
Oh, don't.
And with a definite literary talent.
Honestly? Do you really think so?
I'm being quite objective.
Oh, gosh, wouldn't it be marvellous?
What, dear?
If I could do some work for you. Writing, I mean.
I'll certainly give you all the help I can. And the other offer still stands.
Yes, well, I think I've almost definitely decided. I'm sorry to be so vague.
Not at all.
It's a bit of a wrench, you know. I've been working for Mr. Katz for nearly 4 years, and I'd have to give him a month's notice.
There's no rush. I told you I'd keep the job open for a fortnight.
And then there's George.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how she'd take it.
You have told her, of course.
God, no. She'd have murdered me. If she suspected I'd been to see you behind her back...
There was no reason why you shouldn't.
Oh, I know. But she's so possessive. I'm never allowed anywhere near the BBC. I'm kept a guilty secret.
She shackled you to her. Anyway, you wouldn't be working for the BBC. You'd be working for me as my own private secretary in my London flat.
It sounds absolutely super. Oh, I'm sorry I'm being so slow about making up my mind.
A thought has just occurred to me. If you're in any kind of trouble, you know, with George, you can always camp down at the flat. There's a divan.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
It could serve as your temporary HQ. It's not luxurious, mind.
Never mind that. It would be an escape, if necessary.
That's what I thought. I only ever stay there myself if I've been kept late at a story conference or something like that. I find it useful. I suppose it's a place of escape for me, too.
We'd be like prisoners on the run.
Do you think you really can escape?
I don't know.
You could bring your dolls.
I couldn't go anywhere without them. Sometimes George hides them. It's her idea of a joke.
A very cruel joke.
Don't let her get at me, Mrs. Mercy. Stay here, don't go away.
I can't stay here all day, dear.
Oh, please don't leave me. I'm terrified of what she will do.
Calm yourself, Alice. No one's going to hurt you. Here, put your head on my shoulder. Close your eyes. Relax. Oh, my goodness, you're trembling like a leaf. There.
Oh, that's nice.
You're my little girl. You're going to be my little girl. There.
What a touching sight.
George!
I always did say she had nice hair. I always said that for her.
George, you don't understand.
Emmeline, did you hear what your mummy said, Emmeline? She said, I don't understand. Did you see what your mummy was doing with that strange lady?
She was overwrought, Miss Buckridge. I tried to comfort her.
How absolutely sweet of you, and how well you've succeeded.
I hope you don't think...
come here. I want to talk to you. Don't be frightened. I'm not going to hurt you.
Why can't you tell me in front of Mrs. Mercy?
Well, you know, boys talk.
Would you rather I left?
Oh, no. Whatever could have given you that idea? Childie, come here. I want to whisper to you. I'm going to tell your deep, dark secret.
No! No, I'm not going to do it.
Yes or no, Childie? Yes or no?
No.
What are you asking her to do, Sister George?
The suitable treatment. The punishment that fits the crime.
She wants me to drink her bath water.
Her bath water?
To humiliate me.
But this is preposterous. I've never heard of such an obscene suggestion.
You're shut off from the world, Mrs. Mercy. Ask Mrs. Mercy all your problems answered. Dear Mrs. Mercy, what shall I do? My flatmate is nasty to me and wants to punish me by making me drink her bath water. By the time you reply to this, glug, 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 it may be too late, glug, and I might have drowned.
I strongly advise you to leave this house at once, Miss McNaught.
Well, you've had the benefit of Mrs. Mercy's expert advice. Are you going to take it?
I'm sorry, George. I can't stay with you any longer.
Very sensible.
Did you hear what your mummy said, Emmeline? She said she's going to leave us.
I wish you wouldn't.
You keep out of this. This is between Alice and myself.
I don't know how you can be so cruel. The poor child.
The poor child. As you're going to see quite a lot of the poor child in the near future, I'd better put you in the picture about her.
George, please.
The poor child likes to pretend she's a baby, but have a look at her. Go on, have a close look at her.
Can't you see you're upsetting the child?
The child? The child is a woman. She's 34. She's old enough to have a grandchild.
Oh, really? Now you're exaggerating.
Am I?
Don't! George, don't!
Look at you, whimpering and pleading. Have you no backbone? Can't you stand up like a man?
I can't help it.
I can't help it. She'll never be any different. Feckless, self-indulgent.
I'm going. I'm packing my bag.
Come back here.
Let her go. Let her go.
Oh, you've got yourself a prize. Pack it there and no mistake.
Let me go.
She had an illegitimate child when she was 18. She gave it away to strangers. She's got a daughter of 16. Oh, do what you like. You make me sick.
Stop crying. Get up quickly. Go and pack. You needn't take everything now. Go along. Hurry. I'll wait for you here. I'm sorry, Miss Buckridge, about all this. It'll be all for the best, you'll see. I do hope you're not bearing me any grudge. Oh, good. Sometimes it's best to make a clean break. It's painful, but that's the advice I always give in my programme. Remember, Sister George was killed, not because she was hated, but because she was loved.
I'm ready.
Good. You've got your case. If you study anthropology, Miss Buckridge, you'll discover that in primitive societies it was always the best loved member of the community who was selected as the sacrificial victim. They felt that by killing somebody, the goodness and strength of the victim would pass into them. It was both a purge and a rededication. What you are about to hear is the purge and rededication of Applehurst. I'll switch on the wireless for you. It's time. Goodbye, Sister George.
Come along, Emmeline. Come on, Emmeline. We're going. I think she's right in what she said, George. Mrs. Mercy, I mean. I love you too. That's why I've got to leave you. You do understand, don't you? I mean...
Come, my dear.
All right, Mrs. Mercy, I am coming. Goodbye, George. And you know, thanks for everything.
This is a sad day for Applehurst. The church bell tolls for the funeral of Sister George, whose forthright, practical manner had endeared her to the community. But death comes to the best of us, and the picturesque village of Applehurst is today swathed in mourning.
In The Killing of Sister George by Frank Marcus, Sarah Bedell was George, Lucy Wybrow Childie, Anna Massey Mercy Croft, and Frances Jeter Madame Xenia. Other parts were played by Keith Drinkle and Tom Bevan. The music was based on a theme by Frank Marcus, arranged and played by Mike Sykes and Caspian Turner. The play was adapted for radio and directed by John Tidyman.